Chapter 1537. How is this possible? Just as the 9th magnificent star jade was completed, the appearance of the 10th magnificent star jade caused Yi Yao's heart to skip a beat. She had also cultivated this martial art before and could release the starry chest seal. However, it was common knowledge that the martial ancestors' North Star art could only condense 9 magnificent star jade at its peak. However, before Yi Yao could recover from her shock, the 11th, 12th, one after another, the diamond-shaped essence shone like stars and suddenly appeared around Chu Hen. Unbelievable! Feeling the powerful energy fluctuations coming from each of the magnificent star jade, Yi Yao was a little dazed. 1. Suddenly, hundreds and thousands of diamond-shaped essences that overflowed with light condensed outside Chu Hen's body. Chu Hen was like a mysterious spirit that wielded the power of thousands of stars. A series of astonishing spatial fluctuations swept out. The demonic purple eyes looked indifferently at Wu Hui, who had transformed into a giant winged dragon. Then, countless peerless sharp auras locked onto him. 1,000 star chest seal. The sudden, piercingly cold wind wreaked havoc like frost blades. Chu Hen clasped his palms together, his purple eyes flashing with brilliant starlight. Xiao. So. In an instant, hundreds and thousands of diamond-shaped essence shone under Chu Hen's control. The vigorous and rapid qi wave dragged out beams of blazing light in the air. The power was like rain, and the killing intent was like numbness. Thousands of rapidly penetrating magnificent star jade were like shooting stars that pierced through the vast night sky, setting off endless destructive power, tearing through the sky and piercing towards Wu Hui. The latter's fierce, vertical pupils trembled uneasily. Wu Hui, who had transformed into a winged dragon, had no way to avoid such a concentrated attack. Beams of sharp aurora dazzled the sky, flashing like the stars. Carrying with them a murderous aura, they all hit the opponent's huge dragon body. Bang! Bang! The rapid berserk power was like a clap of thunder. The numbing aura of execution shook everyone present. Rings after rings of condensed silver light spread out in all directions with Wu Hui at the center. Wave after wave of terrifying shockwaves crashed down like meteors. Shadowless trembled violently as the dragon scales on his body, mixed with blood, were sent flying. An enraged roar came from his throat, and a monstrous scarlet flame erupted from his body. However, in the next moment, a beam of light that was as sharp as a blade suddenly shattered the other party's dragon scales and directly penetrated his body. What? The faces of those from the Dragon Blood sacred tribe changed drastically. Then, beams of light that resembled auroras pierced through Wu Hui's chest one after another, dragging along rapid energy patterns. The 9-layer chest star seal could still block it. The 100-star jade was hard to break through. Furthermore, the terrifying killing power that erupted from the 1,000 aurora shuttles were like 10,000 armor-piercing divine arrows. No matter how strong the defense of the Dragon Blood sacred body was, it was difficult to resist the 1,000-layer chest star seal. The spectacular scene was like a meteor shower that blotted out the sky. Broken dragon scales, flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Boom! When the last beam of magnificent star jade pierced through Wu Hui's body, he bled profusely as if he had been turned into a sieve. Bloody holes appeared all over his body. Terrifying. Truly terrifying. This was especially true for Yi Yao. She couldn't believe that the martial ancestor realm's North Star art could possess such terrifying destructive power. In truth, the star chest seal that Chu Hen had used was a martial art that had been modified by the Fortune Emperor Palace's Emerald Essence scripture. It had evolved into a more perfect form of power. Bang! A loud bang resounded, and a bloody light burst out from Wu Hui's body. Enveloped by a red light, Wu Hui's body returned to its normal state in an instant. Lord Wu Hui, the faces of those from the Dragon Blood sacred tribe changed drastically. All of them widened their eyes in shock. Amidst the whirlwind of frost and dust that covered the sky and earth, Wu Hui's entire body was dyed red with blood, all of his internal organs had been pierced, and many of his bones had been shattered. His entire body felt as if it had been pierced through by 10,000 arrows, like a bird with broken wings. He fell from midair. You! Wu Hui's eyes were powerless and filled with venom. The corner of Chu Hen's mouth curved into a smile. Have a safe journey. Swoosh! An astonishing power rippled out from his bewitching purple eyes. In an instant, a ball of purple demonic flames rose into the air and quickly wrapped around Wu Hui, who was still in the midst of falling. In this state, coupled with the fact that he had lost the protection of his dragon scales, Shadowless was like a demon in the flames of hell as he let out a miserable howl. Lord Wu Hui, all the experts of the Dragon Blood Sacred Tribe turned deathly pale. They hastily rushed toward Wu Hui's location. However, before they could get close to him, Chu Hen's emotionless voice was like the announcement of the Grim Reaper. Nirvana storm. Bang! A loud sound rang out. The sky changed color, and the 9 heavens darkened. A vast and surging purple halo swept out in all directions. The ground caved in once more, and thousands of rocks were turned to dust. Together with the rampaging purple vortex storm, Wu Hui's body was forcibly blown into a bloody mist of residue. Bang, bang, bang! A few experts of the Dragon Blood Sacred Tribe, who wanted to rescue Wu Hui, were blown away by the shockwave before they could even get close. Lord Wu Hui, everyone was furious, and their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. A heaven-ranked Great Sage King with a level 6 Dragon Blood Sacred Body had been crushed by Chu Hen just like that. It was truly infuriating. That damned thing! The Great Sage King who was fighting Emochingli was so angry that his eyes were about to spit fire. He pushed Emochingli back with a palm strike, and then roared at the people of Mang City. Nangong Guangtong, what are you waiting for? Kill that little bastard for me right now. This roar caused everyone's hearts to tremble involuntarily. Mu Feng, Long Xuanshuang, Xiao Shaowan, and the rest were shocked. It was not a negotiating tone. It was not a plea for help. It was more like a reprimand. Could it be that there was a secret relationship between the Radiance Sacred Tribe and the Dragon Blood Sacred Tribe? The moment that person's voice fell, Nangong Guangtong suddenly set off a majestic aura, riding on the wind. The power of his domain, which was far stronger than Wu Hui's, rushed towards Chu Hen like a tsunami. I didn't expect that even Wu Hui would be killed by you. You really can't be left alive. Nangong Guangtong's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. To be honest, this was something that he did not expect. It was also something that he did not want to see. Chu Hen's strength had exceeded his imagination. This kind of disaster could not be left alive. Buzz! The terrifying power of the silver-white domain overshadowed Chu Hen and instantly distorted Chu Hen's domain. Chu Hen's expression changed. A quasi-emperor. The information that he had gathered earlier was immediately verified. The other party had indeed reached the quasi-emperor realm. In a hurry, Chu Hen immediately threw a palm at Nangong Guangtong. Bang! The two palms met and an explosive force surged into Chu Hen's body. He felt his arm go numb and his internal organs tremble. He spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. What a powerful force! Chu Hen was shocked. Humph! Nangong Guangtong sneered and took advantage of the situation to attack again. His palm energy was like a mountain, and he looked like he was going to kill Chu Hen on the spot. Die! Chu Hen's pupils shrank and his face turned cold. But just at that moment, a magnificent figure with peerless style suddenly flashed and appeared behind Chu Hen. Chu Hen only felt a soft, jade-like hand gently supporting his back. His gaze shifted to the side, and Bai Qianyu's beautiful profile quietly came into view. Then, Bai Qianyu held Chu Hen with one hand and raised her other hand into a palm. There was a beautiful golden light swaying in her palm. Bang! Bai Qianyu's palm collided with Nangong Guangtong's palm energy again, and a golden light curtain swept out. The white light and golden light intertwined like an exploding sun and stars, distorting the space and tearing it inch by inch. Bai Qianyu immediately retreated with Chu Hen, out of the range of Nangong Guangtong's domain. Nangong Guangtong's face was cold and ruthless. Bai Qianyu and Chu Hen steadied themselves. Their beautiful eyes rippled as they softly said, "Are you all right?" Chu Hen wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and shook his head. "It's a good thing you were prepared." From the beginning, Bai Qianyu did not participate in the battle with the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan. She had always been wary of the Light Sacred Clan, afraid that Nangong Guangtong would suddenly attack. Now, it seemed that her worries had turned into reality. "Clan leader Nangong, why are you going back on your word?" Bai Qianyu asked coldly. Nangong Guangtong narrowed his eyes. "I'm sorry, Miss Bai. The person who stole the dragon essence came to Mang City today. The Light Sacred Clan has the responsibility to help the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan get back the dragon essence." "That sounds like a good reason. But what does the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan, losing the dragon essence, have to do with the Light Sacred Clan?" "Haha, there's no point in saying more. Miss Bai, we have no intention of becoming enemies with the Divine Eye Sacred Clan, but please stay out of today's matter." It was obvious that Nangong Guangtong had already weighed the pros and cons previously. They were indeed afraid of the Divine Eye Sacred Clan. But if the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan was behind them, they would not have to worry about the Divine Eye Sacred Clan causing trouble. After all, they were all from the 10 strongest sacred clans. It was not a loss to make friends with one and offend the other. Furthermore, the most important point was, Chu Hen had the Qitian token. That was the main goal of the Light Sacred Clan. "Everyone from the Light Sacred Clan, listen up. Kill everyone except Miss Bai." Nangong Guangtong gave the order without hesitation. Yes. In an instant, many experts in Mang City rose. One after another, figures emitting powerful auras surrounded Chu Hen and the others from all directions. Not good. Mu Feng, Long Xuanshuang, Long Qingyang, and the others were all shocked. Once the Light Sacred Clan and the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan joined forces, they would be doomed in an instant. Bai Qianyu's beautiful eyes were solemn. She looked at Chu Hen. Nangong Guangtong's palm had caused quite a bit of damage to Chu Hen. Judging from the current situation, it would be difficult for them to break through. Die. Kill. Powerful auras came crashing down from all directions. Suddenly, the sky changed color and the wind and clouds gathered. All of a sudden, the sky above Mang City began to distort violently. Burial, demonic flame storm. Boom! An incomparably heavy and terrifying explosion shook the entire sky above Mang City without any warning, and the destructive whirlpool storm completely exploded. The Mang City experts who were caught off guard were instantly crushed into pieces as if they had been struck by a destructive nebula. "This is?" Everyone was shocked. Their gazes swept towards Chu Hen in unison. However, Chu Hen, who was standing beside Bai Qianyu, was also shocked. His eyes were wide open as he looked at the sky behind Mang City in disbelief. "It's him, this power. Another pair of demonic eyes." There are more updates. Chapter 1538. Tisk. Looking at the purple storm that swept across the sky above Mang City and killed more than a dozen Light Sacred Tribe experts in an instant, everyone was shocked. Their first reaction was to look at Chu Hen, who was standing next to Bai Qianyu. However, Chu Hen's face was similarly filled with astonishment. "It's not Big Brother Chu Hen?" Yi Yao was confused. Xiao Shaowan, Long Xuanshuang, Mu Feng, and the others looked at each other in shock. Buzz buzz. In the sky behind Mang City, clouds surged and thunder rumbled. A pair of purple eyes that looked like those of an ancient demon god quietly appeared in the distorted space. Demonic and demonic. It was like a god overlooking the world. This is... It's the same eyes as Big Brother Chu Hen? It's a pair of demon eyes again. Yi Yao, Qiao Shaowan, Mu Feng, and the others were shocked and puzzled. The eyes of the Dragon Blood Saint Clan and the Radiant Saint Clan were also filled with rage. Their faces were filled with grave expressions. Screech! There seemed to be an ancient and melodious chant in the air. Then, under everyone's shocked gaze, 8 black dots suddenly appeared in the depths of the purple demon eyes that appeared in the sky. Clang! It was like a bolt of lightning piercing through the sky and into the depths of everyone's soul. 8-star demon eyes! The expressions of the Dragon Blood Sacred Tribe changed drastically. Even the Light Sacred Tribe's deputy clan leader, Nangong Guangtong, could not help but clench his fists, his eyes filled with unprecedented caution. Rumble! Then, the ground cracked inch by inch, and beams of purple light shot up into the sky like dragons and pythons. The beams of light surrounded the eyes of the demon god in the sky and intertwined with each other at a speed visible to the naked eye, forming a giant demon spirit that was thousands of meters tall. The same strength as Chu Hen. However, the colossus in front of them was 3 times larger than the Nirvana demon spirit that Chu Hen had summoned. The armor that covered its body was even more piercingly cold and domineering. The solid and clear armor shone with purple light. Moreover, this Nirvana demon spirit had a pair of purple wings on its back that looked like a demon god's. Clang! Following that, thunder and lightning interweaved as the demon spirit of destruction clenched his fists in the air. Xiao xiao! Swirling chi patterns that tore through the sky gathered in his palms. Following that, a black crack appeared in the space. Under everyone's astonished gazes, his palms were actually holding onto a gigantic purple sword in the spatial rift. The sword was surrounded by purple flames. The unconcealable peerless sharpness stunned the heavens and the earth, causing the 9 heavens to darken. Murdering heaven slash! The Nirvana demon spirit's arms dragged the huge sword swaying with purple light as it slashed out. In an instant, a divine sword gleam that could slash through the heavens and the earth shot out. The ground was split open and a huge ravine was formed. The huge Mang city was directly split apart from the middle. The destructive sword gleam swept up a piercingly cold and extraordinary aura, piercing through Mang city and heading straight for Nangong Guangtong. The latter's expression changed. His eyes turned cold, and a monstrous amount of true origin energy was released from his body. Nangong Guangtong's palms faced each other, and a dazzling white light instantly condensed into a sun-like energy sphere. Nangong Guangtong's aura rose as he pushed his palms outward. The gorgeous energy sphere was like a rapidly expanding heavenly star, interweaving with thousands of dazzling lights as it faced the incoming purple sword gleam. Boom! Bang! As soon as the two collided, the heavens and earth collapsed, and the instantaneous explosion of a shockwave blasted both inside and outside of Mang City. However, in the next instant, the shocking purple sword gleam directly split the dazzling energy sphere that had expanded to several hundred feet in diameter. What? Everyone was shocked. Nangong Guangtong's expression changed even more. Clang! The purple sword gleam slashed at Nangong Guangtong with unstoppable might, along with the domain power that had been split apart. Bang! The terrifying aura crushed everyone present. As the city tower and palace were destroyed, Nangong Guangtong was sent flying, and a bloody wound rapidly opened up in the center of his chest. Nangong Guangtong was sent flying like a sandbag that had been struck by an extremely heavy force. He crashed into 2 palaces in a row before coming to a stop. Shock. It was an extremely horrified shock. The deputy clan leader of the Light Sacred Tribe. A transcendent existence at the half-emperor level. He could not even take a single blow from the other party. Buzz. A rapid cyclone spread in all directions, and the space above the Nirvana demon spirit distorted. On the left shoulder of the Nirvana demon spirit stood a powerful figure that emitted a mysterious aura. It's him. Chu Hen's pupils shrank. He had only seen that figure twice in his memory. However, there was an inexplicable sense of familiarity. He was gentle and easygoing, and he gave people a sense of closeness. Who goes there? A great Saint King from the Dragon Blood Saint clan Embark. The other party slowly raised his head, revealing an easygoing but domineering middle-aged face. On his face, there are demonic eyes that are almost exactly the same as Chu Hen. Li Wushang of the Demon Eye Sacred Clan. Rumble. Lightning flashed and the winds howled. Li Wushang. Hearing these 3 words, Chu Hen felt as if his heartstrings were being pulled tightly by an invisible hand. He's finally here. He's finally here. A myriad of complicated emotions surged in Chu Hen's heart. His eyes burned and he clenched his fists. The faces of the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan and the Light Sacred Clan paled when they heard the name. Li Wushang of the Lone Star Guard. Fear immediately filled their faces. Let's go. There was no hesitation at all. The Dragon Blood Sacred Clan looked at each other and understood what they were thinking. They had no confidence in winning against the Lone Star Guard of the Demon Eye Sacred Clan, Li Wushang. Li Wushang, the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan will remember what happened today. Just you wait for us to make you pay. With that, everyone from the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan retreated from the battlefield, wanting to ride the wind and leave. However, Li Wushang's faint chuckle followed. Since you're here, don't leave. Standing on the shoulder of the 1,000-meter-tall demonic spirit, Li Wushang's demonic purple eyes released a powerful spatial pulse. As soon as he finished speaking, a ball of purple flames pounced toward the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan. Boom! A large area of space caved in rapidly, and a purple nebulous storm that ravaged the 9 heavens tore through the sky once again, overturning the sky above Mang City. How dare you! The Dragon Blood Sacred Clan was both furious and fearful. There was no room for mercy at all. The purple storm instantly devoured the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan. Be it great sage kings or saint kings, they were all devoured by the purple whirlpool. Terrifying. Everyone was shocked to the extreme. This was the pure power of the Demon Eye. It was different from Chu Hen's Black Killer Thunder and other elemental powers. This was the original blazing desolation Saint Demonic Flame. Is this the power of an 8-star Demon Eye? Chu Hen's eyes trembled with mixed feelings. A 7-star. An 8-star. Although there was a difference of 1 level, the difference in power was like heaven and earth. The dozen or so Dragon Blood Sacred Clan powerhouses were instantly annihilated. The people of the Light Sacred Clan were terrified. Go! Chu Qinghe, the city lord of Holy Doctor City, shouted. Without any hesitation, the Light Sacred Clan retreated in the direction Li Wushang had left. But right at this moment, a loud and impassioned dragon roar resounded through the 9 heavens. Roar! A huge illusory dragon soared into the sky from the south of Mang City and pounced toward the Light Sacred Clan with a peerless might. Roar! Earth-shattering heavenly star, startling dragon god rage. Violent airwaves wreaked havoc in all directions. The people of Mang City, who were caught off guard, were blown back by the sudden appearance of the dragon shadow. They looked at the dragon. Long Qingyang, Chu Hen, and Long Xuanshuang could not help but widen their eyes. The 3 of them blurted out at the same time. 9-soul dragon seal. It's a happy day today. A few old readers who had given up on the book for a long time have returned. Thank you for coming back, and thank you for your support for the King of Gods. Good night, everyone. Chapter 1539. 9-soul dragon seal art. Violent shockwaves wreaked havoc in all directions. The sudden appearance of the dragon silhouette was like a ferocious prehistoric beast, sending the fleeing Mang City group flying back. Bang! The earth-shattering shockwaves crushed the ground. The Light Sacred Race group was at a loss as they crashed into the buildings and the ground, coughing up mouthfuls of blood and looking battered. Then, like a tsunami, a wave of purple demonic flame swept over like a prairie fire. Amidst the chaotic cries of terror, Mang City and the other experts followed in the footsteps of the Dragon Blood Sacred Race group. Like ghosts burned by hellfire, they were instantly reduced to nothingness. This is? The two waves of annihilation that came without warning surprised Mu Feng, Qiao Shaowan, Mo Qingli, and the others. Even Bai Qianyu looked at the scene in front of him in astonishment. At this moment, Chu Hen, Long Qingyang, and Long Xuanshuang wore extremely strange and complicated expressions. Their eyes were fixed in the direction where the dragon silhouette had appeared. 9-Soul Dragon Seal Art. It was the 9-Soul Dragon Seal Art again. Apart from the three of them, there was no one else in this world who knew this martial art. Who was it? Who could it be? Dust filled the sky as the wind howled. At the back of the mansion where the chaotic cyclone was surging, a burly middle-aged man gradually appeared in everyone's line of sight. It turned from blurry to clear. Chu Hen, Long Qingyang, and Long Xuanshuang's heartstrings involuntarily tightened. Long Qingyang knitted his brows, finding the figure somewhat familiar. Long Xuanshuang's jade-like hands clenched into fists, a complicated look in her cold eyes. The atmosphere was inexplicably tense. There was also an indescribable sadness. Looking at the tall and sturdy figure that was gradually approaching from afar, he felt a chill run down his spine. There was a familiar warmth in that formless and imposing aura. The scene from 10 years ago involuntarily surfaced in the trio's mind. Sacred Star Empire. Imperial capital, Imperial City. The tall and burly figure faced the countless experts of the Sacred Star dynasty and the rulers of the royal family. He had an imposing and domineering appearance. Today, the Divine Empress, in the presence of countless people present, personally promised me that as Long Zhan dies, she would spare Chu Hen's life. If the Divine Empress reneges on her promise, then I, Long Zhan, will ensure that my heroic soul is not extinguished, remaining in this world to protect my son. The figure was getting closer and closer. The aura in the air was so strong that it hurt people's eyes. Memories of the past overlapped with the scene in front of him. Chu Hen, Long Qingyang, and Long Xuanshuang felt their hearts tremble. Yang Shuang Hen, the three of you are my, Long Zhan's, greatest pride in my life. I have no regrets in doing this. The man, who had always been strict, revealed a gentle and loving smile. His voice and smile were comforting, but also sorrowful. Don't be sad. Father will always be here. No matter where I am, I will always watch you grow. The scene in front of them and the scene in front of them switched back and forth. Every step the young man took was like stepping on the surface of the lake in the trio's hearts, creating waves after waves in their hearts. Remember, Father will always be watching over you three. Goodbye. Goodbye. We meet again. Uncle Zhan. Chu Hen shouted, then ran forward. Long Qingyang and Long Xuanshuang's eyes widened and reddened as they ran towards that figure. That's... Yi Yao's face was also filled with astonishment. Uncle Long Zhan? Under the dust. The burly figure walking towards them was as valiant and extraordinary as he had been in the past. His dignified brows exuded a domineering aura, and he looked very similar to Long Qingyang. Uncle Zhan. Chu Hen was overwhelmed with emotion, tears welling up in his eyes as he knelt before the man. Uncle Zhan, my unfilial son, Chu Hen, kowtows to you. Hen. The man's voice was gentle as he also knelt on one knee and held onto Chu Hen's shoulder. Uncle Zhan, it's really you. Chu Hen hugged him like a child. Long Qingyang and Long Xuanshuang's eyes were also red with shock and doubt. They looked a little dazed, unable to believe that this was real. Father? It's really you. Long Zhan raised his head slightly, a warm and loving expression on his face. Yang Shuang, long time no see. You've both grown up. Father. Long Qingyang knelt on the ground and hugged Long Zhan's broad arm with Chu Hen. Long Xuanshuang, on the other hand, was in shock and disbelief. How could this be? How could you? It had been so many years. Long Zhan, who had burned himself to death in front of them, was now standing right before them. Long Xuanshuang bit her lips. All of a sudden, she couldn't accept it. Why did you lie to us? I'm sorry, Shuang-er. Long Zhan looked guilty. Is a simple sorry enough? Do you know what we've been through all these years? Do you know how painful it was for you to do that in front of us? Long Xuanxuang's face was covered in tears. She remembered it clearly. She had screamed, begged, and cried hysterically. Then, she had to pretend to be strong and comfort Chu Hen, who was younger than her. Little did she know that Long Xuanxuang, who looked as cold as ice on the surface, was only a little girl less than 20 years old. Every time she recalled what happened that day, it was like a nightmare tormenting her heart. Long Zhan sighed deeply. Shuang-er, I've let you down. Long Xuanxuang couldn't hold back her tears. She turned to the side and wiped away the tear stains on her face. It was a heart-wrenching sight. Chu Hen's godfather isn't dead? At the same time, the others came over one after another. Mu Feng and Yi Yao, who knew what had happened that year, looked at each other and saw the confusion in each other's eyes. Bai Qianyu's eyes were also slightly moved. Her beautiful peach blossom eyes were tinged with sadness. After calming down a little, Chu Hen and Long Qingyang stood up with Long Zhan's help. Uncle Zhan, what's going on? In Chu Hen's heart, he was shocked, pleasantly surprised, and especially puzzled. Long Qingyang was also in disbelief. Dad, we saw you with our own eyes. Long Zhan didn't answer, instead turning to look behind the crowd. Chu Hen subconsciously turned to look. Li Wushang walked over with light steps, his gaze calm. I told him to do it. A what? Long Xuanxuang, Long Qingyang, and the others were shocked and looked at each other in confusion. Chu Hen's eyes narrowed as he looked at the person in front of him with an indescribably complicated expression. The man with the same eyes as him. It was as if everything had been carefully arranged by him. Who exactly are you? Chu Hen replied in a deep voice. Their eyes met, and the air vibrated rhythmically. Li Wushang raised his eyebrows and said word by word, one of Emperor Demon Eye's 4 guards, Lonely Star Guard, Li Wushang. Chapter 1540. Victorious East State. Kuan City. This was a courtyard built halfway up a mountain. Behind it was Mount Kunlia's sect, and in front of it was Kuan City's central district. Standing in this courtyard, one could have a panoramic view of the bustling streets of Kuan City when night fell. It was almost evening. The setting sun in the west lit up the sky red. In the courtyard, Chu Hen, Long Qingyang, and Long Xuanxuang gradually calmed down. 10 years. Long Zhan's figure and appearance were the same, but there was a hint of vicissitudes in his brows. Long Qingyang, Long Xuanxuang, and Chu Hen's changes were especially obvious. The childishness that had existed in them all those years ago had completely disappeared. Long Qingyang's features and aura were becoming more and more like Long Zhan himself. Long Xuanxuang had also grown into a slender, elegant, and beautiful woman. As for Chu Hen, he was also the one who had the greatest change. This change did not exist in terms of his outer appearance, but in terms of his aura. I've let you down for hiding it from you all these years. Perhaps it was because his children had all grown up, but Long Zhan was no longer as strict as before. Long Xuanxuang pursed her red lips, but didn't speak. A trace of redness could be seen in her eyes. Long Qingyang let out a deep breath. Father, compared to the fact that you're still alive, those things aren't important at all. It had to be said. The fact that Long Zhan wasn't dead was a great comfort to them. On the steps in front of the courtyard, Chu Hen looked at Long Zhan, who had returned. He couldn't help but feel like he was in a dream. You must have a lot of things to ask me, right? Li Wushang said in a calm, easygoing voice. Chu Hen turned to look at the middle-aged man he'd only met twice, but he still felt a sense of familiarity. Just like the first time they'd met in Flame City. Li Wushang hadn't changed at all. He was cultured, easygoing, and gave off an aura of approachability. Chu Hen nodded. I've been looking for you. I know, Li Wushang replied. I'm waiting as well. Wait for what? When you reach the level I expect. Have I achieved it now? Chu Hen asked. Li Wuxiang turned to look at her deep and dark eyes, and then he shook his head. To be honest, it's quite far from what I expected. Too bad. This word was like a hammer pounding on Chu Hen's heart. He couldn't help but clench his fists. He didn't dare to believe Li Wuxiang's evaluation of himself. I originally planned to wait until you are at least at the same level as me before I stand in front of you. At the same level? Chu Hen frowned. Then why did you appear earlier? Shouldn't I be asking you? Li Wuxiang replied blandly. You made such a big commotion in Midland, and even revealed your identity as a member of the Demon Eyes clan. Didn't you do that to draw me out? Chu Hen's pupils shrank and he clenched his fists. He didn't completely deny what Li Wuxiang said. Letting out a long breath, Chu Hen nodded. That's part of the reason, but I didn't think that Uncle Jean would be with you. Li Wuxiang smiled and didn't say anything. Although Chu Hen didn't go according to his plan, he was still able to lure him out, which was something that Li Wuxiang didn't expect. What do you already know? Li Wuxiang asked. Before this, Li Wuxiang said that he didn't know Chu Hen. And Chu Hen believed him. However, if the other party started to urgently want to see him, it meant that Chu Hen already knew some things. My parents, Chu Hen answered. Oh. Li Wuxiang was surprised. Chu Qintian, Li Zhixiao are my parents' names, right? Li Wuxiang raised his eyebrows slightly when he saw the expectation and passion in Chu Hen's eyes. He then nodded. Yes, it was the two of them who entrusted you to me back then. He admitted it, without any hesitation. Especially resolute. Chu Hen once again clenched his fists tightly. This also showed that the scenes he saw in the martial ancestors' time wheel were real. Not long after he was born, the Demon Eyes clan suffered a great disaster. Where are the two of them now? Chu Hen paused after every word, as if he was asking with some difficulty. Li Wuxiang shook his head, a trace of emotion in his eyes. I can't answer that. Who can? Chu Hen pressed. Someone will. When? Soon. Li Wuxiang answered. Soon? Chu Hen's heart trembled when he heard that. He stared into Li Wuxiang's eyes. You won't lie to me this time, right? There's no need to hide it anymore. Someone will come looking for you in 3 days at most. You mean? That's right. Li Wuxiang confirmed. I've already notified the Demon Eyes clan. Someone will tell you what happened when the time comes. Even though Li Wuxiang had lied to him a few times, he still had an aura that made him have no choice but to trust him. Chu Hen nodded. All right, then I'll wait for 3 more days. Shortly after, he turned his gaze towards Long Jean, who was at the back of the courtyard. What about Uncle Jean? Why did you let him do that? Towards this point, Chu Hen expressed that he could not understand. With Li Wuxiang's cultivation, it would have been effortless for him to save him from the Sacred Star Dynasty. So why did he have to trick Long Jean into faking his death? If it was only for the sake of tempering himself, then it would be too cruel and ruthless. Li Wuxiang didn't answer immediately. He stared deeply into Chu Hen's eyes. He paused for a moment before continuing. Although your strength hasn't reached the level I expected, your inner demon is far more powerful than I imagined. Inner demon? Chu Hen's expression changed. What do you mean? It's already appeared, hasn't it? Li Wuxiang continued. Which it? Chu Hen was even more confused. Li Wuxiang's eyes trembled, and he said 2 words that Chu Hen had never heard before. Heart beast. Heart beast. Whoosh, a formless wave of air seemed to ripple in the air. In an instant, the depths of Chu Hen's soul unconsciously trembled. What is this? Only those with the 10 strongest sacred bodies can summon primordial beasts. Li Wuxiang's voice made Chu Hen's heart beat faster. He continued, the 10 beasts are also known as the 10 heart beasts. The limit of the 10 most powerful sacred bodies can control their power, and they can also devour the summoner. What did you say? The 10 beasts can use the summoner's inner demon to control them, so I need you to continuously strengthen your inner demon and get used to suppressing the evil thoughts in your heart. Then, you'll finally obtain the power to summon the heart beast. 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 Hearing these words, Chu Hen could not help but sink into contemplation. Hearing Li Wuxiang's words, Chu Hen couldn't help but think of the 2 times he'd felt a very strange and mysterious presence when his consciousness had been hazy. It was a very strange aura that seemed to originate from the endless dark void, but also seemed to originate from the chaotic universe. It was a mysterious, ancient power that originated from the dark river. There definitely had been. Chu Hen suddenly remembered. The first time he'd felt that mysterious presence was in the tomb of the demons and immortals, when he'd fallen into the Yama King's tomb. The second time was at the border between the Chaos Demon Realm and the God-forbidden Blood Prison. Both times, Chu Hen hadn't been able to see what it was. He'd thought it was the power of the sky-diverting token. Now that he thought about it, it was a mysterious presence that was completely different from the sky-diverting token. Seeing Chu Hen's blank expression, Li Wuxiang couldn't help but confirm. Looks like you've seen it before. P.S. Regarding the Heart Beast storyline, I've already buried a hole in it. If you didn't pay too much attention to it at the time, you can go back to Chapter 1090. The Reappearance of the Evil God and Chapter 1455. The Inescapable Fate. These 2 chapters have foreshadowing for this chapter. You can go back and read it carefully. Chapter 1541. It looks like you've seen it already? Looking at Chu Hen's serious expression, Li Wuxiang couldn't help but confirm his guess. Heart Beast. Ancient Beast. The reason why the 10 strongest sacred bodies were called the strongest was not only because of the superiority of their bloodline power, but also because they could connect to the mysterious power that existed in another space. Chu Hen let out a deep breath. Between his eyebrows, traces of fear surged. Although he had only sensed that mysterious aura when his consciousness was hazy, he was sure that it was extremely powerful. It was as if the other party was testing him. What kind of existence is it? Chu Hen asked solemnly. Fear flashed through Li Wuxiang's eyes. It's so powerful that the entire world trembles. It's not an exaggeration to say that anyone who can control the power of the Heart Beast can become the leader of the strongest sacred race. The one who obtained the Heart Beast would control the sacred race. Chu Hen's expression changed. He looked up and said in a low voice, What about you? Can you summon the Heart Beast? The corners of Li Wuxiang's mouth rose in a self-deprecating smile. In fact, I haven't even sensed the aura of the Heart Beast. What? Chu Hen was shocked again. His face was full of disbelief. The other party had an 8-star demon eye sacred body. It was a powerful existence that could instantly kill the light sacred race's vice-patriarch. Even with Li Wuxiang's abilities, he had never seen the Heart Beast. Do you find it strange? Asked Li Wuxiang. Yes. You're clearly much stronger than me. I'm just stronger than you right now. Li Wuxiang stared into Chu Hen's eyes and said seriously, Chu Hen, the strength of your bloodline isn't something I can compare to. 8 stars is my limit, and you have endless possibilities. You, on the other hand, will have endless possibilities. One day, you might even reach the 9th star. 8 stars was Li Wuxiang's limit. 9 stars was his hope for Chu Hen. Chu Hen's scalp went numb. The blood in his body was boiling and restless. Why, even you can't do it. That's because you're the son of Chu Rantian and Li Zhixia. You're the first person in the history of the Demon Eye Sacred Clan to be able to sense the presence of a heart beast at the 7-star Demon Eye level. Li Wuxiang's tone was firm and certain. Following this, his eyes were filled with caution. Because of this, the heart beast has already been attracted by your heart demon. From now on, you must be more strict in controlling your heart demon. Only by defeating your heart demon will you have the right to control the heart beast. Sensing the seriousness in Li Wuxiang's words, Chu Hen's expression became indescribably grim. The reason why I asked Long Zhan to do that was to summon your inner demon and use it to train your willpower and state of mind. I hope that one day you'll be able to control the power of the heart beast and bring it back to the world so that you can rule and restore the demon I Saint clan. Reappear in the world? Chu Hen was startled. Has no one been able to control the heart beast before? Yes. Li Wushang answered with certainty. Emperor Demon I. Emperor Demon I. Hearing those 4 words, Chu Hen's heartstrings trembled. At the same time, he saw a hint of unconcealable sorrow in Li Wushang's eyes. There was no need to ask further. It was obvious that Emperor Demon I had most likely died. What had happened to the Demon I Saint clan all those years ago? Chu Hen could only wait for the Demon I Saint clan's people to arrive 3 days later. Only then would the mystery be solved. At the same time, Long Zhan brought Long Qingyang and Long Xuanxuang to their side. Heng-er! That thick and warm palm of Long Zhan lightly held Chu Hen's shoulder and said, Mr. Li has put in a lot of effort for you all these years. Regarding the matters of your clan, I have also heard about it from him. Regardless of whether he went overboard or not, I hope you won't blame him. Chu Hen faintly smiled and reached out his hand to hold the palm of Long Zhan. Don't worry, Uncle Zhan, if you really had died in front of us all those years ago, I wouldn't have forgiven him. Long Xuanxuang and Long Qingyang looked at Li Wushang with complicated expressions. Indeed, if Long Zhan's life had really been used as a whetstone for Chu Hen's inner demons, it would have been too heavy a price to pay. Fortunately, Li Wushang had saved Long Zhan in the end. The hardships he'd suffered in the past had been worth it. I heard that big brother Qingyang is back? Is that true? At this moment, an excited and gentle female voice came from outside the courtyard. Yes, big sister Yorong. He's inside with big brother Chu Hen. Someone seemed to have bumped into Yi Yao at the entrance of another courtyard. Then, a beautiful figure rushed into the courtyard in a panic. Yorong Long Qingyang's face lit up when he saw who it was. He hurriedly ran up and pulled her into his arms. It really is you. Su Yorong's face was full of disbelief. She leaned against Long Qingyang's broad chest, tears welling up in her eyes. I'm sorry, Yorong, I made you wait for so many years. Long Qingyang said shamefully. It's all right, as long as you're back safely. Long Zhan, who was standing next to Chu Hen, couldn't help but be stunned. Uncle Zhan, you still don't know? That's my sister-in-law. Chu Hen smiled. Long Zhan's eyes lit up. Oh. Come, Yorong. Long Qingyang reached out and pulled Su Yorong in front of Long Zhan. Greet my father, father? Su Yorong was confused. My father isn't dead. He's been alive all this time. Long Qingyang explained as he pulled Su Yorong in front of him, then said to Long Zhan, Father, this is Yorong. She's my sweetheart. Although Su Yorong was surprised, she still bowed obediently. Yorong greets uncle. Long Zhan's expression was one of excitement. He nodded repeatedly and hurriedly held Long Qingyang's shoulders. Good girl, no need to be so polite. It was like any father's wish for his children to start a family. Long Zhan's happiness was written all over his face. Big brother, I promised sister-in-law that I would kick you on her behalf when you came back. You've made me wait for so many years, but since you did it for a reason, I'll just give you a few punches. With that, Chu Hen punched Long Qingyang's chest twice. Ugh! Long Qingyang clutched his chest in pain. I say, third brother, who could take 2 punches from your demon I holy physique? You almost made me bleed. Su Yorong immediately stopped Chu Hen. Stop fooling around, you'll hurt him. No way. Sister-in-law, you weren't like this before. Chu Hen teased. Su Yorong blushed and pouted. I didn't agree to let you hit him. Really, forget it, forget it. You two should hurry up and get married. Now that Uncle Zhan is back, all the good things are going to happen. Don't talk about me, what about you? You're not young anymore. Long Qingyang retorted. You're the eldest son, you should go first. Plus, I have a second sister before me. Yes, and Heng-er and Shuang-er. Long Zhan was no longer as strict as before, instead looking lovingly at Chu Hen and Long Xuanxuang. And the two of you, you're all grown up now, it's time for you to get married. Chu Hen only smiled. Long Xuanxuang, on the other hand, had a strange expression on her face as she struggled out of Long Zhan's grasp. I still have things to do with that. Long Xuanxuang turned to leave. Everyone froze. What's wrong with her? Long Qingyang asked in confusion. The others shook their heads, indicating that they weren't sure. Though it was strange, they didn't think too much about it. Looking at the happy and harmonious family, Chu Hen's current mood also had an indescribable carefree feeling. Thank you for everything you've done all these years and for bringing Uncle Zhan back. Chu Hen turned around and said to Li Wushang next to him. The latter smiled, but didn't say anything. You gave my brother the jade pendant he wears, right? No. Li Wushang's reply was out of Chu Hen's expectations. No? Chu Hen froze for a moment. Long Qingyang's pendant had withstood the power of the 9 dragons' cauldron's dragon soul flames. If it really was an ancestral treasure, how could it be so powerful? Li Wushang paused and turned to look at Long Zhan, who was not far away. The ancestors of the Long family have a portion of the Dragon Blood sacred clan's bloodline. They should be a branch that was expelled from the Dragon Blood sacred race, or a branch that betrayed them. However, the sacred race bloodline in their bodies has been in a dormant state for several generations. On the other hand, Long Zhan's bloodline is showing signs of awakening. Oh! Hearing his words, Chu Hen could not help but be a little surprised. The Long family still had a portion of the bloodline of the 10 strongest sacred clans? Long Qingyang had almost been used as a sacrifice by his own clansmen. Are you sure? Chu Hen couldn't quite believe it. Li Wushang replied calmly. Dragon essence isn't something that just anyone can devour. Just based on how harmoniously his and the dragon essence's energy converged, it's enough to prove this. Li Wushang smiled playfully. Only the main bloodline can use the dragon essence, but it was consumed by the descendant of a traitor from a branch. It's funny. With the dragon essence, I might be able to completely awaken the limit of the saint body bloodline in his body. Wonderful Book House. Chapter 1542. Not a night of music, flowers blooming like brocade. The night breeze blew past. Chu Hen's heart was like the ebbing tide, gradually returning to peace. He had to admit, Li Wushang's appearance put Chu Hen at ease for the time being. However, there were still many unsolved mysteries behind this peace of mind. There was anticipation. There was worry. At the same time, there was also the pressure of having a long way to go. Heart Beast, the ancient beast that controlled the strongest power in the world. In the entire Demon Eye clan, only the Demon Eye Emperor could summon it. He, who only had the 7-star demon eyes, was entrusted with such a heavy responsibility by Li Wushang. It was a heavy burden. However, Li Wushang's words, because you're the son of Chu Chintian and Li Zhixia, gave Chu Hen indescribable encouragement. These 2 names were like invisible pillars supporting Chu Hen's heart. He stood alone on the city tower. Li Wushang, Long Zhan, and the others had left at some point. Chu Hen didn't leave. His deep eyes gazed at the night view of Kuan City in front of him. He stood in silence, watching the hustle and bustle in the distance. At this moment, a tall but skinny middle-aged man slowly walked over. Chu Hen's lips curled into a gentle smile. He turned to look at the man. You look much more energetic than you did during the day. Senior Tuoba. The newcomer was none other than Demon Man Tuoba Shah. He'd changed into a clean set of clothes and combed his messy hair neatly. His face was still a bit pale, but he no longer looked dispirited and disheveled. Tuoba Shah also smiled faintly. He walked to Chu Hen's side. I heard from them that you were here, but it looks like you were waiting for me. Chu Hen smiled. You don't have to thank me. I'm just a bit surprised that you'd really save me. I thought I'd die in the patio prison. Tuoba Shah answered. I said I'd save you, Chu Hen said. Anyway, thank you. Other than this, Elder Tuoba, do you have anything else you want to say to me? Chu Hen looked at Tuoba Shah's pale face. A hint of confusion flashed in the latter's eyes. He didn't seem to understand what Chu Hen was referring to. Senior Tuoba, I've always been curious. Chu Hen's eyebrows arched up, a torch-like light surging in his eyes. Although the Radiant Saint race cannot compare to the 10 strongest saint races, they can still be considered a formidable race when compared to ordinary saint races. With their strength, it shouldn't be too difficult for them to capture Senior. Previously, Chu Hen did not know much about the Radiant's sacred tribe. However, they later discovered that the strength of the Light Sacred Clan was much stronger than they had imagined. Compared to the continent's 5 elements Divine Clan and Moon Divine Clan, they were probably even stronger. Moreover, the Light Sacred Clan had established bases and strongholds throughout the eastern region. Especially Mang City, where even the half-emperor deputy clan leader was stationed. With such a huge expenditure, it would be effortless for them to capture Tuoba Shah, who was not even in the ancient Eternal Realm. In reality, Tuoba Shah had been wandering in the eastern region for many years, and he had even helped Chu Hen several times in the past. With so much exposure, it was impossible for the Radiant's sacred tribe not to discover his whereabouts. Receiving Chu Hen's torch-like gaze, Tuoba Shah's eyes could not help but tremble. Senior, you've also used the power of the Chitian token, haven't you? Chu Hen asked. Tuoba Shah's expression changed. He clenched his fists and replied in a low voice, You didn't destroy it? Destroy it? Chu Hen's eyelids lifted. Within his pair of deep eyes, there seemed to be a gloominess that was like a whirlpool black hole. He faintly smiled and said, Senior, do you know what has changed the most in these 10 years? What? The thing that has changed the most is not my cultivation, but my mind. Take Senior Li Wushang for example. 10 years ago, he said that the boundary between our sacred physiques and mine was just a coincidence. I was so naive that I actually believed him. Just like when you gave me the Chitian token and asked me to destroy it, I also believed him. Naive. Trusting others easily. In the past, Chu Hen had never doubted the good intentions of strangers. However, after going through so many things and changes, Yi Zichen didn't dare to say anything. Chu Hen was no longer the naive young man he used to be. He would think twice about the good intentions of any stranger. So, Chu Hen's deep eyes revealed a soul-penetrating probing. He stared at Tuoba Shah's uneasy face and said word by word, I really want to know something from you, Senior. Did I accidentally meet you, who was at the end of your road, or did the Chitian token choose me? Whoosh! Each word was like a needle piercing the eardrums. Tuoba Shah's expression instantly changed. He looked at Chu Hen's handsome and angular young face in disbelief. The look in the young man's eyes seemed to penetrate his soul, causing him to tremble inexplicably. Tuoba Shah couldn't help but tremble. His hands were tightly clenched together, his expression extremely complicated. In the end, it was Chu Hen who met Tuoba Shah, who was at the end of his road. Or it was the Chitian token who chose Chu Hen. These two sentences were like an invading cold wave, causing the surrounding temperature to become extremely agitated. After a while, Tuoba Shah's expression returned to normal. He didn't see any coldness in Chu Hen's eyes. He let out a deep sigh. You finally found out. Without a doubt. These words were like a key turning a lock. A clear sound came from Chu Hen's heart. Yes, I did use the power of the Chitian token and came into contact with that person. Tuoba Shah said softly. That person? A hint of caution appeared in Chu Hen's eyes. But he wasn't satisfied with my body, Tuoba Shah continued. That's why he chose me? Yes. Tuoba Shah didn't deny it. He looked at Chu Hen resolutely and said, He chose you, all the contradictions, at this moment, could be explained clearly. Why Tuoba Shah could avoid the Light Saint clan's pursuit for so many years. Why did Chu Hen meet him again and again? All of this seemed like a coincidence, but in fact, it was like a whirlpool full of conspiracy. Silently, it dragged Chu Hen into it. Before Tuoba Shah handed the Chitian token to Chu Hen, he would never be caught by the Light Saint clan. And once the box was handed to Chu Hen, it meant that Tuoba Shah had no value at all. So, the second sentence that Tuoba Shah said to Chu Hen was, "I'm surprised that you would save me." Why? Chu Hen said these 3 words solemnly. Tuoba Shah stared into his eyes, his voice cold. Chapter 1543. Because he wants to come out, Tuoba Shah enunciated each word, his voice unconsciously revealing a hint of coldness. Chu Hen's eyes narrowed slightly, and he couldn't help but frown. The two of them stared at each other. Tuoba Shah's eyes no longer had the uneasiness and impatience from before. Instead, it was replaced by an inexplicable coldness. This aura. It was somewhat similar to a demon. "This is your goal?" Chu Hen replied coldly. "That's not my goal. It's his order, and also your destiny. The moment you opened that metal box, it became your destiny. The heretic god will come out in an instant." Tuoba Shah seemed to have changed into a different person. He stared at Chu Hen's seemingly calm and handsome face, and a strange smile actually appeared at the corner of his mouth. This smile seemed familiar. It seemed to originate from the disdain of the huge figure on top of the mountain of corpses that was paved with white bones. "You are not Tuoba Shah." Chu Hen stared at the other's strange face and said, "Ha ha ha ha, I really look forward to the day when I return on your body, and that day won't be too far away." A mocking and sinister smile appeared on Tuoba Shah's face, and then his eyes began to spin like a black whirlpool. Tuoba Shah's originally normal eyes suddenly lost the whites of his eyes, leaving only a pair of inky black pupils. The cold wind was like frost, and a cold current suddenly rose. A chilling, fierce, and evil aura swept out in all directions. Shing, in an instant, a formless and powerful spatial rhythm leaked out from Chu Hen's eyes. Chu Hen's eyes involuntarily turned into a demonic purple pupil. The 7 black dots in the depths of his pupils chased after each other, and the shocking aura caused the space around them to rapidly distort. Demonic Eye automatically activated. "Scram!" Chu Hen sternly shouted. The formless power crushed towards Tuoba Shah, and the latter's body trembled violently. Then, his black whirlpool-like pupils actually spun in the opposite direction. At the same time, the evil energy on his body quickly faded. "Not bad, I look forward to meeting you again." The dreamy voice that reverberated between heaven and earth gradually faded away from Chu Hen's ears. As Tuoba Shah's eyes returned to normal, his knees buckled, and his entire body collapsed. "Elder Tuoba." Chu Hen instinctively reached out to support the other party. Tuoba Shah, who looked a little weak, lifted his eyelids and looked at Chu Hen's demonic purple eyes. He couldn't help but be a little surprised. "What are you doing?" Then, Tuoba Shah came to a sudden understanding. Chu Hen's expression was somewhat complicated. After a moment of hesitation, he said in a meaningful tone, "You can leave." Tuoba Shah was stunned. "You, also, I won't let him out," Chu Hen said solemnly. He could not help but reveal the domineering aura of an emperor. Tuoba Shah's lips moved slightly, but he didn't say anything. In the end, he didn't say anything. "Farewell." With that, Tuoba Shah turned around and slowly disappeared into the night. Looking at the back of the other party merging into the darkness, Chu Hen's demonic godlike eyes were still solemn. Even though Tuoba Shah getting close to him was deliberate and not a coincidence. But he still couldn't kill him. Maybe Tuoba Shah had given him a chance to choose. He had warned himself to destroy the thing in the metal box. But he had made another choice. He opened the box that contained the Chitian token. Evil God! Chu Hen clenched his fists tightly. Just now, that was the first time he met the evil god's eyes in real life. Although it had only been less than 3 seconds, just a glance from the other party was enough to trigger the active defense of his demonic eye. From the contact with his divine sense, and then from the real confrontation just now. That evil aura that came from the source of all evil seemed to be getting closer and closer to him. Humph, I won't let you out, I definitely won't. Chu Hen clenched his fists tightly, his eyes filled with determination. At this moment, a somewhat hurried figure came towards Chu Hen. What's wrong? Did the inner demon rise again? Looking at the nervous expression on Bai Qianyu's face, Chu Hen's heart warmed a little as he smiled and shook his head. Why are you here? Bai Qianyu's beautiful eyes were like water, filled with a little concern. I don't know why either. I just felt the evil aura on your body and thought that you were starting to lose control of your inner demon. Bai Qianyu had always known that Chu Hen's inner demon was very strong. When they first met in the Immortal and Devil Tomb, she had helped Chu Hen to calm his inner demon. And later on, about the Qitian token. Bai Qianyu also knew everything. It's because of the Qitian token, right? You have to find a way to take it out of your body. If one day you can't suppress it, the consequences will be very dangerous, Bai Qianyu said solemnly. Seeing the trace of worry in her eyes, Chu Hen smiled and subconsciously put his hands on her delicate shoulders. I'm fine, don't be nervous. Bai Qianyu sighed softly. Your inner demon is really too strong, to the point that the heretic god and the heart beast are after you. Wow, it seems like I can't hide anything from you. You actually know everything about me. Tell me honestly, have you liked me for a long time? Who likes you? I'm talking about serious matters with you right now. Before Bai Qianyu could finish speaking, Chu Hen exerted force in his arms and pulled him into his embrace. Bai Qianyu, who was caught off guard, didn't even have time to react before she was tightly pressed against his chest. You, don't move, I'm just hugging you for a while. Chu Hen's somewhat gentle voice lightly passed into the other party's ears. Bai Qianyu's faint body fragrance was very pleasant. The fragrance that originated from her hair invaded Chu Hen's nose. Hugging her in his arms, there was an indescribable sense of security. Bai Qianyu's beautiful eyes rippled as she let Chu Hen hug her tightly. She rested her head on his shoulder and gently patted Chu Hen's back. What's wrong with you today? You're acting like a child. Because I'm very scared. Chu Hen closed his eyes, smelled the other party's delicate fragrance, and said softly. What are you afraid of? I'm afraid of everything. I'm afraid that the people I trust will leave me. I'm also afraid that the people I care about are deceiving me, and I'm afraid of the consequences that I don't dare to face. Chu Hen subconsciously hugged her tighter. At this moment, it was as if Bai Qianyu was his pillar of support. It was as if he was under great pressure. The pressure came from all directions. There was an unquenchable fear in Chu Hen's heart. Come with me to the Demon Eye Sacred Clan in 3 days. Bai Qianyu was stunned. I want you to be by my side. Chu Hen murmured in a half-asleep state. Bai Qianyu didn't say anything. Her lily-white hands on Chu Hen's back couldn't help but clench together. Under the bright moonlight, the two of them hugged each other, the bustling noise in the distance like a backdrop of stars. Life in this world. They often felt that the world was really small. They were originally 2 strangers, but they later found out that they actually had a lot of connections. Maybe it was a good fate. Maybe it was an ill-fated fate. People would always have a very magical connection. Usually, this kind of coincidence was called fate. The silent wheel of fate, as if inadvertently, quietly began to turn. Chapter 1544. In the silent and gloomy ancient hall. It was like the border where gods and dark devils met. There seemed to be a low and majestic ancient aura floating in the air. In the palace shrouded by the nightmare, the space appeared to be distorted like a mirror. In the darkness, the ethereal voice seemed to originate from the chaotic universe. That child has appeared with the Lone Star Guard and Li Wushang from the Demon Eye Saint clan. I believe it won't be long before they return to the Demon I Saint clan. The voice came from the right side of the hall. I already know about this. It seems like there's no need to pay attention to it. A voice came from the left side of the hall. Li Zhixia's clan bloodline is quite powerful. Her talent is not much worse than her brother's. If that child returns to the Demon I Saint clan, it's very likely that he'll summon the heart beast of their clan and become the new Demon I Emperor. The voice on the right replied. However, the voice on the left did not care. No matter how powerful Li Zhixia's bloodline is, it's still no match for the Demon I Emperor. Even the Demon I Emperor has fallen. No matter how talented a junior is, he won't be able to achieve anything in a short period of time. But don't forget that apart from the Demon I Saint clan, he has another identity. That child's biological father is Chu Rantian. It's very likely that he still has the bloodline of that clan, hee. So what? It's a clan that has long fallen. Humph. Too much time has passed. I'm afraid you've forgotten the fear of being dominated by that clan. Don't forget how long the 10 strongest sacred clans have been under his control. That man is so powerful that he can even kill the heart beast. The fear of domination. A formless cold aura quietly spread in the hall. That clan has long become history. The voice on the left was still disdainful, but the tone was no longer as arrogant as before. At this moment, a calm and indifferent voice came from the top of the hall. Fear has long been buried in the past. No one can dominate us now. The indifferent voice seemed to come from the boundless abyss region. It caused gentle ripples in the vast heaven and earth. Since you've said so, there's nothing for us to worry about. What are you going to do? The left and right sides of the palace spoke one after another. Ignore him. Alright, do as you see fit. I'll be leaving first. I'll also take my leave. Buzz. The next moment, it was as if 2 balls of netherworld flames were ignited in the darkness. Accompanied by the distortion of space, the 2 auras on the left and right sides of the hall sank into the night. In the silent hall, it was as if he was being eroded by the giant claws of a nightmare. At the top of the cold and quiet hall, a figure shrouded in darkness sat quietly on the stone throne like an emperor. Hua! Suddenly, his eyes opened. An invisible rhythm spread out, and the pair of mysterious and domineering eyes flashed with a hint of sacred golden light. The Eastern Region. Eastern Victory State. Koan City. Are you guys leaving so soon? Chu Hen asked as he looked at Mu Feng, Qiao Shaowan, and the others. Yes. There's an urgent summon from the Demon Region. They want me and Haozi to go back immediately. Mu Feng said in a deep voice. Haozi, who was visiting his family and friends in the 100 Kingdoms state, also returned to Koan City yesterday afternoon. Urgent summon? Did they say anything? Chu Hen asked. Mu Feng shook his head. No, they just want me to go back as soon as possible. Although Mu Feng was a human, he had fused with the demon Thearka's skeleton and was highly regarded by the demon region. Mu Feng knew this too. He couldn't ignore the summon from the demon region's higher-up. At the same time, Qiao Shaowan also received a summon from the ancestral butterfly race. Chu Hen nodded. Alright. If there's anything, send someone to inform me. There's definitely nothing else. As for you, if there's any good news, don't forget to tell us brothers. Mu Feng smiled slyly and winked at Chu Hen. Chu Hen glanced sideways and glanced at Bai Qinyu beside him. He smiled helplessly. Qingkai, Qingyi, are you guys coming with us? Qiao Shaowan asked casually. Yes, I was just about to say that. Zhao Qingyi nodded and gave her affirmation. She then looked at Chu Hen and said, We've been out for quite a while. It's about time for us to go back. The martial union is being established. Let's go back and see if there's anything we can help with. If Zhao Qingyi and Zhao Qingkai were to go back, Qingxue would naturally follow them back to Hidden Sky City. Looking at Qingxue's expression, she seemed to be reluctant to leave. Big brother Chu Hen, when are you going back? Qingxue asked with her big watery eyes. Chu Hen smiled and rubbed her head. I still have things to do. Once I'm done here, I'll go back soon. Then you have to be quick. I will. Chu Hen smiled. Why don't I go back to Midland too? At this moment, Emo Qingli walked up and said. Chu Hen was stunned for a moment. He then looked at Qingxue in front of him and hesitated for a while before nodding at Emo Qingli. All right, there's a lack of manpower in the inner prefecture. Help me take care of Qingxue. Emo Qingli nodded with tacit understanding. Leaving so many people at once, it's a little unsuitable for me, Yi Yao said with a little sadness. Hee, Sister Yi Yao, do you want to go play with Big Brother Mu Feng in the demon region? Maybe you can meet that fox. I'm not going. I need to hurry up and cultivate. If I can't improve my cultivation, I'll be a burden to Big Brother Chu Hen. Yi Yao replied. That's true. Mu Feng agreed. Brother Qin Yang has already reached the Great Saint King realm, so I should hurry up on my side. Wait for me. With that, Mu Feng snapped his fingers. I'll go into seclusion when I get back. When I come back, you should all call me Demon Emperor Mu Feng. The other party's shameless attitude immediately caused everyone to roll their eyes. Ah Tao, I'm leaving, goodbye. Qingxue turned around and said to the two little fur balls playing with each other in a corner not far away. One of them was a little monkey with golden fur. The other was the yin-yang beast Noni. The little monkey seemed to be a little interested in Noni and would come up to tease it from time to time. On the other hand, Noni showed his arrogant nature and ignored the little monkey. Hearing Qingxue's call, the little monkey immediately climbed up from Noni's claws and jumped up to Qingxue's shoulder. Gee. The little monkey rubbed its furry claws and made a crooked sound. Do you want to go with me? Qingxue asked in confusion. Gee. The little monkey quickly nodded. Everyone was startled. Chu Hen was also startled. This little monkey actually liked Qingxue so much? After all, it was his summoned beast. Logically speaking, it should be closer to Chu Hen. Brother Chu Hen, can Ah Tao go with me? Qingxue asked obediently. The little monkey also opened its big round eyes as if it was asking for Chu Hen's permission. Of course, if it is willing. Qingxue's eyes lit up. Thank you, Brother Chu Hen. I will take good care of Ah Tao. Gee. The little monkey was also very excited. It even used its furry little head to rub against Qingxue's cheek, making the little girl giggle. Woo! On the other side, Noni seemed to be a little dissatisfied, its eyes filled with arrogance and disdain. The little monkey squatted on Qingxue's shoulder and made a face at Noni. It was a little naughty but also very cute. Everyone was amused, and couldn't help but feel that it was very intelligent. After saying goodbye, Mu Feng, Haozi, Qiao Shaowan, Han Yichuan, Zhao Qingyi, Qingxue, and Emo Qingli started their journey back to Midland. Chu Hen, Long Xuanshuang, Yi Yao, and Bai Qianyu stayed in Kuan City for the time being. Everyone, thank you for taking care of my third brother, Chu Hen, all these years. If there is a chance in the future, I, Long Qingyang, will definitely repay your kindness. Long Qingyang, Su Yorong, and Long Zhan all came out to see them off. Brother Long Qingyang, you're too kind. We'll be leaving now, we'll meet again in the future. It's a small world, see you again. Have a safe trip. Goodbye. Midland came in groups. Half of them left in a flash. Life was like that. Separated, reunited, gathered, and dispersed. Watching everyone disappear into the horizon, Chu Hen's eyes were filled with an indescribable emotion. Don't worry, we'll meet again. Bai Qianyu gently held Chu Hen's hand and smiled. Chu Hen faintly smiled and, definitely. Then, everyone returned to the inner mansion of Kuan City. Walking on the city gate tower, they still felt a little lonely. Suddenly, at this moment, a piercingly cold airflow suddenly attacked. A strong gust of wind rose and waves of air surged. Everyone's heart jumped. Before they could react, 3 beams of light descended from the sky, landing on the inner city gate tower like rainbows. A formless transcendent aura spread out. In the faintly twisting space, 2 men and a woman appeared in front of everyone. All 3 of them looked rather young, had an extraordinary temperament, and were rather handsome. Their bodies exuded an innate aura of aloofness and arrogance. "Who are you?" Long Qingyang frowned and asked in a low voice. One of them glanced at Long Qingyang. Then he asked, "Where is the lone star guard?" "Calm. Wonderful Book House. Chapter 1545. Where's the lone heavenly star guard?" Whoosh! Invisible waves of air spread out in all directions, and a wave of uneasy rhythm appeared in the air. One was a heaven-ranked great saint king. 2 were earth-ranked great saint kings. As soon as the 3 of them appeared, they emitted a powerful spatial aura. Chu Hen could not help but clench his fists as excitement filled his eyes. "You're here." A calm and gentle voice entered everyone's ears as Li Wu Shang appeared on the other side of the square. The 3 of them raised their eyebrows. Then, they cupped their fists and greeted Li Wu Shang, who was walking over. "I'm Xia Guang, Yi Kong. Qing Wen." "Greetings, Lord Li Wu Shang." The 3 of them bowed slightly. There was a hint of respect in their voices as well. Li Wu Shang asked indifferently, "Whose subordinates are you?" The young man called Xia Guang, who was the leader, looked up and said, "Lord Li Wu Shang, our master is the Heavenly Wolf Star Guard." "So, you're Rao Feiluan's subordinates." Li Wu Shang raised an eyebrow slightly as a hint of a smile flashed in his eyes. "Lord Li Wu Shang, the 3 of us are here on the 4th Elder's order. May I know where the outer young master you mentioned in your letter is?" "Over there," following Li Wu Shang's finger, the 3 people's gazes simultaneously swept towards where Chu Hen and the others were. Soon after, Chu Hen also walked forward on his own. "So, this is the outer young master that Lord Li Jixia gave birth to. Nice to meet you." Xia Guang cupped his fists slightly with a smile on his face. On the other hand, the other 2 were a little suspicious. They seemed to be surprised by Chu Hen's cultivation base. The young woman called Qing when whispered to the person next to her, "He's only a mortal rank great saint king." There was a hint of disdain in her voice. Yi Kong raised an eyebrow as a hint of disdain flashed in his eyes. Chu Hen also saw the change in the expressions of the 3 of them. He did not say anything as he cupped his hands together and returned the greeting. "I've been waiting here for a long time. When will we be able to return to the Demon Eye Sacred Clan?" Chu Hen was still a little anxious in his heart. He desperately wanted to know about those unknown past events. However, the 3 of them did not reply. Instead, they turned their gazes towards the solitary Star Guard and Li Wushang. The latter said calmly, "Do you have any questions?" "I dare not." Xia Guang lowered his head slightly, glancing sideways at Chu Hen as he seemed rather hesitant. "Just say what you want," said Li Wushang. "Lord Li Wushang, before we came out, the higher-ups of the clan asked us to verify if young Lord Outer has the ability to return to the Demon Eye Saint Clan." "The ability to return to the Demon Eyes Clan?" Long Qingyang and the rest behind Chu Hen were infuriated by his words. "What do you mean by this? My 3rd brother is a blood relative of your clan. Does he not even have the right to return to the clan?" In response to Long Qingyang's harsh questioning, Long Qingyang's eyes widened. The 3 of them did not refute. To be more precise, he didn't care to explain. "This was suggested by Rao Feiluan?" Li Wushang asked calmly. Xia Guang did not deny it, nor did he admit it. He only answered, "We are only acting on orders. Please forgive us, Lord Li Wushang." "I have no objections," said Li Wushang. "No way?" Yi Yao expressed her displeasure as well. Chu Hen was of the bloodline of the Demon Eye Saint Clan. Now, he was being obstructed like this when he returned home. "Aren't you going a little too far?" Yi Yao was just about to speak when Chu Hen raised his hand to stop her. He then asked, "How can I prove that I have the ability to return to the Demon Eye Saint Clan?" "Young Lord Outer, you only need to defeat me, and you can return." Xia Guang, who was a great saint king of the heaven realm, walked forward with a gentle smile. Behind him, Qingwen and Yi Kong exchanged a look, both reading the playfulness in each other's eyes. Just this? Chu Hen raised his brows slightly. Yes. Xia Guang answered. Ha ha. Chu Hen laughed, his eyelids raising slightly as the corners of his mouth curled somewhat playfully. I have an even better suggestion. Xia Guang was taken aback. Please speak, young Lord Outer. How about? Chu Hen's voice paused. Accompanied by a piercingly cold wind, his pitch-black pupils shockingly turned into a pair of bewitching purple pupils. The three of you can come at me together. The sharp sound of the air caused the surrounding space to distort uneasily as a formless, powerful aura directly invaded the minds of the three like the gaze of a primordial demon god. As the other party's words fell, a demonic purple light instantly surfaced in the eyes of Xia Guang, Qingwen and Yi Kong. It was as if the defensive mechanisms of their bloodline had inadvertently been activated. In that instant, 4 pairs of purple demonic pupils faced off in midair. Ha ha! A slight smile appeared on Xia Guang's face. Wouldn't it be a little inappropriate for young Lord Outer to want to deal with the three of us at once? Chu Hen answered calmly. To tell the truth, it would really be a little too low of a level for just you to be able to return to the clan alone. Both of you have demonic pupils, but I can't feel any threat from your eyes at all. Provocation. A great provocation. While clearly speaking in the calmest of tones, his words contained a sharpness that could cut through one's heart. The faces of the three darkened. This was especially so for Xia Guang, who seemed to have been greatly despised. A sinister smile appeared on his face. Since young Lord Outer has already said so, the three of us can only offend you. Rumble. As his words fell, purple magma suddenly erupted from Xia Guang's body like a volcanic eruption. Aolo, a loud, impassioned dragon roar reverberated throughout the heavens and earth. In that instant, a massive purple dragon swept forth with the momentum of splitting the heavens as it lunged towards Chu Hen. All of you retreat, Chu Hen said to Bai Qianyu, Long Qingyang and the others behind him. Roar. At the same time, the ground of the plaza behind Chu Hen collapsed layer by layer as an even more domineering purple lightning dragon shot into the heavenly river, colliding with the incoming dragon silhouette. Hiss. As the two met, the heavens and earth darkened. Thousands of purple fireballs of various sizes seemed to explode wantonly within the air as innumerable thunderbolts pierced through the heavens like interweaving nets, locking down the skies above Kuan City. It actually integrated the power of thunder and lightning? A look of shock appeared on Xia Guang's face. Humph, so what? He dares to challenge the three of us with his mortal stage Great Saint King cultivation base? He's practically asking to be humiliated. Yi Kong sneered. Then, his body moved, leaving a series of afterimages in the air. In an instant, he appeared in front of Chu Hen. Be careful, young Master Y, with a frivolous sneer, Yi Kang's right palm dragged along countless bewitching purple glows as he swung it towards Chu Hen. As he moved, the rapidly intertwining patterns of purple light immediately formed a bunch of thorny blades. The sharp blades tore through the air like an aurora shuttle as they stabbed towards Chu Hen. The corners of Chu Hen's eyes narrowed slightly as purple lightning surged from his palm as well. Hiss hiss, like fleeting shadows, lightning flickered. A short dagger condensed in Chu Hen's palm. Ding! Bang! The thorny blades clashed with the short dagger, causing a series of sparks and fire to erupt in the air. The two's attacking rhythm instantly reached an extremely high speed, as a series of afterimages swept past each other as they instantly completed dozens of close combat moves. So fast! Yi Yao exclaimed. Yeah. Bai Qianyu nodded, her beautiful eyes slightly rippling as her red lips parted slightly. The demon eye can observe the direction of the opponent's power and can accurately predict the opponent's next move. In close combat, both of you know the opponent's next move, so the rhythm of the attack will constantly be accelerated. Both of you know the opponent's next move, so how do you win? It's easy to say, you just need to attack faster than the opponent's reaction speed. That way, even if the opponent knows where you're going to attack next, he can't react in time, so there's nothing you can do about it. Bai Qianyu replied. Chu Hen's speed is even faster. Long Xuanxuang said. The moment the words fell, a purple electric arc flashed in the depths of Chu Hen's eyes. Hiss hiss. Countless bolts of lightning surged out from his body. Domain, 1,000 lightning escape. In an instant, the endless cold killing momentum twisted the space, and countless sharp purple electric thorns appeared in the air. A dense murderous aura pressed down on Yikong. Beams of light with penetrating power interweaved and attacked, completely blocking all of Yikang's escape route. The corner of the latter's mouth curved into a mocking smile. Punishment shield. Buzz! Under the trembling space, a circular purple light screen shield suddenly appeared around Yikang's body. Complex purple light flashed up and down the arc, and a pair of purple evil eyes flickered. Heh! The corner of Chu Hen's mouth also curled up. He condensed his 5 fingers in the air, and a dark gray light spread out from his palm. Power of Desolates! Hum! A circle of dark gray light, like a halo on the surface of water, swept out from Chu Hen's palm. Along with the world that had sunk into darkness, the round purple light shield around Yikang's body suddenly became dim, without the slightest bit of luster. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, beams of extremely sharp purple lightning thorns swept up a powerful penetrating force and directly pierced the light shield. At the same time that the terrifying sharpness shattered Yikang's punishment shield, it also attacked his opponent's body. As if he was surrounded by sea urchins, Yikang's expression changed slightly, and his purple pupils reflected the extremely sharp electric thorns. Well done, Brother Chu Hen. Yi Yao clapped her hands excitedly. But in the next moment, Yikong, who was surrounded, suddenly exploded into a purple flame and disappeared in front of Chu Hen. What happened? Everyone was shocked. Bai Qianyu turned his gaze to the young woman on the other side, Qingwen. He saw her forming a seal with both hands, and the 6 black dots in the depths of her demonic eyes emitted a dreamy, distorted rhythm. It's an illusion. Chapter 1546. It's an illusion. Looking at the young woman named Qingwen, Bai Qianyu frowned slightly, a hint of surprise in her beautiful peach blossom eyes. Beside her, Long Qingyang, Long Xuanxuang, and Yi Yao were also shocked. Looking to the side, they saw that the space Qingwen was in was strangely distorted, like a dreamy scene. Especially her pair of demonic purple eyes, the 6 dots in the depths of her eyes gave off an unreal illusion of rippling water. Isn't Brother Chu Hen's demon eye the bane of illusion? Yi Yao asked hurriedly. Even so, she should specialize in illusion, and she has the bloodline limit of the demon eye. I don't think the demon eye will be able to see through her illusion. Before Bai Qianyu could finish, Qingwen's hands formed a seal again. Rise. Hum! Along with the strong spatial rhythm, Qingwen's eyes emitted a circle of ripple-like light. In an instant, the area where Chu Hen was suddenly turned into a body of water. Moreover, in Chu Hen's vision, the body of water instantly turned into a vast sea. On the surface of the sea, Chu Hen looked isolated and helpless. Young Master Y, it's good to be confident, but if you're too careless, you'll only be humiliating yourself. Yikang's obviously proud laughter came from behind Chu Hen. Whoosh! Following that, the water surface behind Chu Hen rapidly split apart. At the same time, a sharp aura of qi invaded. The corner of Chu Hen's eyes turned cold, and he turned around. A water film quickly rose from behind Chu Hen and immediately turned into Yikang's figure. The other party once again raised a sharp blade and swung it at Chu Hen. Chu Hen's eyes flashed coldly. Whoosh! Afterimages flashed in the air, and a circle of ripples appeared under Chu Hen's feet as he flashed behind the other party. A series of electric arcs crisscrossed, and a gorgeous purple lightning bolt directly penetrated Yi Kang's chest from behind. Hua! But in the next moment, Yi Kang's body once again exploded into a spray of water, sliding down between Chu Hen's fingers to the side of his feet. Buzz, the reflection of Chu Hen in the water, was startled. However, what was surprising was that the reflection under Chu Hen's feet was not Chu Hen himself, but someone else. Xia Guang, a heaven-ranked great saint king. Ha ha! Xia Guang's reflection in the water revealed an arrogant and playful smile. Silent burial, storm. Chu Hen's pupils shrank slightly. He immediately leaped up and retreated to the sky behind him at an extremely fast speed. At the same time that Chu Hen dodged, a deafening explosion rang out. A purple vortex instantly erupted like a devastating storm, sweeping towards Chu Hen. The incomparably violent shockwave of energy crushed the space, like a purple tsunami that could overturn the sky, rushing all the way towards Chu Hen. The entire square was trembling. The city tower was instantly filled with cracks and fissures. Even though the purple firestorm was exceptionally violent, Chu Hen had managed to avoid the center in time, not suffering too much from it. However, not waiting for Chu Hen to stabilize his figure, Xia Guang suddenly appeared in the air in front of Chu Hen like a ghost. It seems that young master is having a bit of trouble? Even though I feel that this is rude, I still want to tell you. The three of us were personally trained by Lord Heavenly Wolf Starguard. We've once exchanged close to 1,000 blows with a half-emperor without being at a disadvantage. With that, Xia Guang's eyes surged with a piercing purple light. He raised his palm towards Chu Hen's direction. His 5 fingers condensed, and he clenched the air. Silent burial, rising dragon. Roar! Roar! Several overlapping dragon roars resounded in the air above Kuan City. 4 ferocious and terrifying purple dragon silhouettes shockingly rose around Chu Hen. This is? What's going on? At the same time, everyone inside and outside Kuan Lu City was disturbed by this mighty disturbance. The 3 hall masters of Mount Kuan Lu City, Shan Zhen, Qi Qianying and the other disciples were rushing over. Even Long Qingyang, Long Xuan and the others were shocked as they stared at the 4 majestic dragon shadows that seemed to be able to tear the sky apart. Why is the power of their demon eyes different from Big Brother Chu Hen's? Yi Yao exclaimed in confusion. It's very normal. Bai Qianyu answered. No matter what kind of sacred physique it is, apart from the power of its bloodline, its possessor can also alter it and create even more powerful moves and secret arts. It was true that the demon eye's bloodline was powerful. However, those who possessed such a powerful bloodline would try to extend the power of their demon eyes further, either with the help of others or by developing stronger arts on their own. Xia Guang, Qingwen and Yi Kang were all disciples personally taught by the Heavenly Wolf Star Guard. Each of them had their own unique demon eyes secret art. Moreover, the 3 of them had worked together for more than a day or 2. It could be said to be watertight and flawless. Although Li Wushang had never personally taught Chu Hen had also fused the profound killer thunder and other elemental powers into his demon eyes. This could also be considered as extending the power of the demon eyes into the realm of creation. Big Brother Chu Hen's demon eyes are 7 stars, while they are only 6 stars. He'll definitely win. Yi Yao said uncertainly. Logically speaking, one 7-star should be able to suppress 3 6-star cultivators, but Bai Qianyu's beautiful eyes rippled slightly as she stared at the sky in front of them. He doesn't seem to be planning on using the power of the 7-star demon eyes. Rumble! Wind and thunder roared, their ferocious might shaking the heavens. Under numerous pairs of astonished gazes, the 4 sinister and frightening purple demonic flame dragon phantoms whistled towards Chu Hen, who was in the middle, with the momentum of returning to their origin. The mountain-like pressure completely enveloped him. In the face of such a fierce attack, Chu Hen's eyes flashed with a series of dazzling lights. Heaven and earth within the vast Kuan city began to emit a strange rhythm. Wind and clouds surged, blotting out the sky. The source energy of heaven and earth, as well as the spirit chi of all living things, flowed like 100 rivers into the sea. All of it gathered towards Chu Hen's palms. Plunder all things, heaven and earth returned to origin. Clang! An earth-shattering sound caused the sky to immediately cave in. Colorful divine light comparable to the sun, moon, and stars blossomed from Chu Hen's body. Chaotic elements extreme, the monstrous might of the eruption of the mountain torrent rose from the 4 enormous dragons. Giant light pillars emitting the divine might of the chaotic world broke through the heavenly net and swam out. Hiss! Hiss! The fearsome pillars of light were like divine blades that could split the heavens. One after another, they pierced through the enormous bodies of the 4 flaming dragon silhouette. Heaven and earth trembled, and the 9 heavens churned. The distorted space tore and expanded. Boom! With a heavy boom, a destructive shockwave exploded in the sky like a nebula explosion. The sky was filled with whirlpools of light mixed with the surging purple waves. With an earth-shattering momentum, they crushed towards the surroundings of Kuan City. Not good! The expressions of Shan Zhen and the others changed drastically. The 3 palace masters also turned pale with fright. Once this terrifying shockwave was released, the entire center of Kuan City would be razed to the ground. However, at this moment, Li Wuxiang's eyes widened. His calm and easygoing eyes flashed with purple light. Buzz! Suddenly, a faint purple illusory canopy appeared in the sky above the city tower plaza. The ferocious and terrifying shockwave was like a tide that had crashed into a rock wall, bouncing back. Everyone on Kuan Lu Mountain couldn't help but sigh in relief. At the same time, they cautiously looked at the chaotic sky above the plaza. Violent forces that distorted space intertwined with each other. Rapid air currents resembled madly dancing sand. Chu Hen was in the middle of the hurricane, and the various attributes of power lingering around his body emitted an uneasy rhythm. It looks like Outer Young Master was unable to completely block the power of my returning to the heavens rising dragon. Feeling that evidently chaotic aura of Chu Hen, a hint of a smug smile appeared on Xia Guang's face. At the same time, a series of sharp auras appeared behind Chu Hen once more. Yi Kong had already appeared amidst space at an unknown time. What a pity! Outer Young Master! Yi Kong smiled disdainfully as an illusory blade that resembled shadow wings condensed in his palm. Big brother Chu Hen, be careful! Yi Yao hurriedly warned. As the sharp light assaulted, Chu Hen was just about to turn back. However, his pupils abruptly shook the next instant. Move, I can't move. Chu Hen's eyes widened as he was greatly shocked. What was going on? Long Qingyang, Yi Yao, and the rest were shocked and confused as they looked at the motionless Chu Hen. It's still that woman's illusion technique. Bai Qianyu replied. What? Hua, an invisible sharp aura spread between heaven and earth. In the illusory space where Chu Hen was located, in the sky above the vast sea, more than a dozen sharp wooden stakes had silently pierced into his body. At the same time, the young woman called Qingwen revealed an arrogant and complacent smile. Illusion, Space Nail Technique. Com. Wonderful Bookstore. Com. Chapter 1547. A formless sharp aura spread between the heavens and the earth. Looking at the motionless Chu Hen hovering in the air, Long Qingyang, Yi Yao and the others all had anxious looks on their faces. On the surface, there was nothing unusual about Chu Hen's body at all. In reality, however, within the illusory space in which Chu Hen resided, his entire body had already been pierced by over a dozen sharp wooden stakes. At the same time, the piercingly sharp Yi Kong had already reached Chu Hen's back. Rapid purple chi swirls converged in his palm, condensing into a peerlessly sharp illusory blade. My apologies, young Master Y. The corners of Yi Kang's mouth curled up in a slight arrogant smile. Chu Hen's pupils grew cold as the true essence within his body surged rapidly, wanting to break free. At the same time, a complacent smile appeared in the eyes of Qingwen, who was at another location. Don't even think of breaking free from my illusory arts. Illusory arts, great air spike art. Accompanied by Qingwen's cold shout, the sharp wooden stakes embedded in Chu Hen's body suddenly erupted with an extremely powerful penetrating force. Chu Hen's eyes widened. Hiss! In that instant, a formless sharp tearing sound seemed to ring out between the heavens and the earth as over a dozen wooden stakes with mysterious talismans on them directly pierced through the illusory realm of Chu Hen's body. At the same time, Yi Kang's long-prepared attack stealthily arrived behind him. The howl caused by the intense pain shook the eardrums of everyone present. Yi Yao, Long Qingyang, Kuan Lushan and the others all turned pale with fright. The next moment, Xia Guang and Qingwen were greatly alarmed as well. The one who had let out a mournful howl was not Chu Hen, but Yi Kong, who was about to launch an attack behind Chu Hen. Yi Kong, who had still been ferocious just a moment ago, now had an exceptionally chaotic aura as his entire body was stuck in a strange posture of charging forward. It was as if he had been nailed in place by a formless force. A whoosh! The entire sky above Kuan City began to shake rhythmically. Through the overlapping illusory space, in the illusory world, the incomparably sharp wooden stakes had forcibly pierced through Yi Kang's chest, and his limbs were firmly nailed to the sky. How could this be? Qingwen was shocked and suspicious. She had clearly cast the illusion on Chu Hen. How could the person who was nailed be his companion, Yi Kong? Before Qingwen could react, the sky suddenly sank, and the whole world fell into darkness. Wow! A series of ear-piercing screeches rang out. Suddenly, Qingwen felt as if she had been dragged into a dark abyss that would never see the light of day. Blood-colored crows filled the sky and flew in all directions. A blood moon rose in the sky. Screech! Accompanied by a sharp whistle, the blood moon was rapidly drawn closer. A figure emitting a mysterious aura suddenly appeared in front of Qingwen. A mere 6-star demon pupil dares to cast an illusion on my 7-star demon pupil. Humph, how ridiculous, Zheng! The moment he finished speaking, the mysterious figure suddenly opened his eyes. In the depths of his demonic pupils, 7 black dots were chasing each other in a clockwise direction. Qingwen's petite body involuntarily trembled in that instant. A formless force surged towards the other party. The scene that surfaced in Qingwen's mind was quickly dragged back to that moment when she had fought with Chu Hen. Haha! I have an even better suggestion. Chu Hen laughed, his eyelids raising slightly as the corners of his mouth curled somewhat playfully. Oh! Xia Guang was taken aback. Young Master Y, please speak your mind. How about? Chu Hen's voice paused. Accompanied by a sudden, cold wind, his jet-black pupils shockingly turned into a pair of bewitching purple pupils. The 3 of you can come at me together. Screech! The piercing sound of the air caused the surrounding space to distort uneasily. A formless, powerful sharpness seemed to originate from the gaze of an ancient demon god as it directly invaded the minds of the 3. Qingwen abruptly reacted. This was the moment. Chu Hen had long since cast an illusory technique on her. She had been careless. Qingwen was both shocked and shocked. Never would she have thought that Chu Hen would actually unknowingly cast an illusory technique on her. However strong her attainments in illusory techniques were, a 6-star illusory technique could not suppress a 7-star demonic pupil at all. Humph! A frivolous arc appeared at the corners of Chu Hen's mouth. He did not give the other party any chance to steady her mind. Woo! Wah! Those blood-colored crows that filled the sky erupted with an extremely shocking speed as they shot towards Qingwen. As they moved, those blood-colored crows rapidly transformed into numerous 2 to 3 meter wide spiraling cross-shaped darts. Vigorous chi patterns dragged along in the dim space. Qingwen's similarly bewitching purple pupils were filled with panic at this moment. Boom! Pung! The sky changed color as a shockwave swept across the sky. Along with a muffled explosion, a panic-stricken and miserable figure flew out from the sky above the plaza, heavily smashing onto the ground, exploding into pieces of rock that filled the sky. It was that Yi Kong. The eyes of Long Qingyang, Yi Yao, and the others lit up. Qing Wen, who was on the other side, also let out an incomparably terrified cry. Bang! Then, she knelt on the ground and fell to the ground with a muffled sound. What? Long Qingyang, Long Xuanshuang, and the rest of Mount Kunliu were all dumbfounded. Chu Hen had been in a dangerous situation just moments ago, but in the blink of an eye, 2 of his opponents had fallen. This sudden change was too unexpected. Yi Kong and Qing Wen were both baffled by their defeat. Especially the latter. There was not the slightest injury on his body, but his aura was extremely weak, as if he had suffered a great injury. Was it Third Brother's illusory art? Long Qingyang could more or less see some clues, but asked Bai Qianyu uncertainly. Bai Qianyu nodded slightly, a faint smile playing at the corners of her lips. He made that woman think that she had fallen for her illusory art, and at the last moment, he had her use it on her companions. So that's how it was. No wonder that Yi Kong couldn't move at all. Yi Yao came to a realization, admiration in her eyes at the same time. As expected of Big Brother Chu Hen, the illusory art was broken as Qing Wen collapsed. The illusory space where Chu Hen was also collapsed. The scene before them returned to the gate tower square. As expected of a 7-star demonic eye. Young Master Outer's eye power is truly admirable. A sharp intent flowed in Xia Guang's eyes. It is a pity that I haven't fallen yet. In that instant, Xia Guang rose with the wind, shocking purple flames enveloping the heavens. Accompanied by an incomparably sharp aura, a pressure that resembled a tempest and a torrential downpour crushed down on Chu Hen. Young Master Outer, pardon me. Xia Guang brought his palms together, the purple radiance that pervaded the heavens and the earth suddenly becoming sharp and incisive. Endless brilliant purple light intersected and revolved as a massive purple spear shadow condensed in front of Xia Guang. For example, an artifact of fiend gods, displaying its tremendous power. Vigorous air currents stacked up in the skies above Earth City. Sweeping up a terrifying pressure, that purple spear shadow pierced through the heavens and struck down towards Chu Hen. Great destruction, extreme reverse divine spear. It was an attack that was condensed from the power of Demon Eye's bloodline. The enormous power pressed down, causing the ground to cave in rapidly. The rubble on the ground of the square cracked open inch by inch. Everyone on Mount Kunliu frowned deeply, looks of shock appearing on their faces. Is this the power of a great Saint King expert? Shanzhen clenched his fists tightly, deep fear appearing in his eyes. The faces of the 3 hall masters were pale as well. Once upon a time, they had been the top experts of the Eastern Victory region. Yet, faced with this power, they felt as insignificant as an ant. Amidst their shock, they could not help but worry for Chu Hen, wondering how he would be able to block such a domineering attack from Xia Guang. Must he use the Nirvanic Devil Spirit? The corners of Li Wushang's eyes narrowed slightly as he murmured softly, Quang. The next instant, that terrifying spear that exuded a destructive aura descended. Chu Hen's tiny figure was like a meteor as it was directly engulfed by countless blinding purple radiances. The massive city square was instantly penetrated deep underground, a massive hole rapidly appearing at the center of the square. Vast, vigorous purple waves surged into the heavens as all the gravel of various sizes were crushed into dust by the shockwaves. Chapter 1548. Nirvanic Destruction, Extreme Heavenly Divine Spear. Bang bang, the earth cracked and the whole city trembled. In an instant, the entire Kuan city, and even the sect on Mount Kunliu shook violently as if there was an earthquake. Even though Li Wushang had set up a temporary barrier to block the shockwaves, it was impossible for them to escape. However, the walls of the city tower were instantly covered with deep cracks of various sizes. The strength of a great Saint King Realm Master is really terrifying. On a mountain peak to the south of Mount Kunliu, Myriad World Sect Master Qiao Yong, Jihua Palace's Palace Master Xing Yi, and Mount Kunlu's Sect Master Gong Yangyu had appeared at some point in time. He was the person with the highest authority among the three great forces in the Victory East region. At this moment, they only dared to hide in the dark and shiver. They had no intention of running to the front to watch the battle. Rumble! In just the blink of an eye, the huge city gate tower was already riddled with holes. As they stared at the huge pit in the middle of the square, the eyes of countless people present were filled with intense shock. The rubble that filled the sky was lifted into the sky, and then it was crushed into powder by the mighty aftershock that overturned the entire arena. Li Wuxiang frowned slightly, and a hint of confusion flashed through his eyes. He didn't even use the power of the 7-star demon eyes. This was out of Wuxiang's expectations. Even though Xia Guang only possessed 6-star demon pupils, his cultivation base had already reached the heaven-ranked Great Saint King realm. Only the Nirvana demon spirit could withstand that attack just now. Where's Brother Chu Hen? Compared to Li Wuxiang's astonishment, the others outside were also confused. Looking at the huge pit in the square and the chaotic cyclone, he couldn't sense the slightest bit of Chu Hen's aura. Long Qingyang, Long Xuanshuang, and Yi Yao looked at each other. He couldn't help but feel a little restless. Gone? Even Xia Guang, who stood proudly in the air, had a look of astonishment on his face. Could it be that he had been blasted into smithereens by his spear? Impossible! Xia Guang frowned slightly, shock and doubt slowly appearing in his eyes. Crack! Suddenly, at this moment, a streak of gorgeous purple thunder interwove behind Xia Guang. Xia Guang's expression suddenly changed drastically. Before he could react, a palm that flickered with a frenzied purple light had already pressed against the back of his heart. Looks like you've lost, Hua. An invisible and powerful aura swept across the sky. Everyone present was greatly alarmed. When did Chu Hen go there? It was completely silent. A second ago, he had still been beneath Xia Guang. Now, he was directly behind him. Isn't this a little too elusive? What is this technique? At this moment, even Li Wuxiang was struggling to maintain his composure. He subconsciously looked towards Bai Qianyu, who was standing with Long Qingyang and the others, and there was an indescribable look on his face. At this moment, Bai Qianyu's beautiful eyes were filled with astonishment. It could be seen that she was a little confused. Others might not have been able to clearly see how Chu Hen had appeared behind Xia Guang, but she had. She could not be more familiar with the technique that Chu Hen had just executed. But why had it been like this? Bai Qianyu herself did not know either. Chi. Wild electric arcs that were like snakes of thunder flowed and swayed in Chu Hen's palms and arms. Xia Guang's face was slightly pale as a few drops of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. He did not doubt in the slightest that if he dared to make any random movements, the sharp power of thunderbolts in Chu Hen's palm would instantly pierce through his chest. I wonder if I have the right to return to the clan now? Chu Hen's cold, icy voice rang out in Xia Guang's ears. The latter's face was pale as he replied rather nervously, "Young master's eye power is powerful. We are willing to admit defeat." The corners of Chu Hen's mouth curled into a frivolous, cold smile. It looks like the so-called Heavenly Wolf Star Guard is only SOSO. Then, the cold light in Chu Hen's eyes retreated as he withdrew his palm from the other party's back. Xia Guang heaved a slight sigh of relief as he no longer had that arrogance on his face. The three of them had not been able to defeat a single person. There was no lower limit to how much face they could lose. Spectacular! A mortal Great Saint King fighting 2 Earth Great Saint Kings and a Heaven Great Saint King on his own, and he actually won without much difficulty. If I had not seen it with my own eyes, I would not have believed it to be true. On the southern peak of Mount Kunlun, Chief Chiao Yong of the Myriad Worlds sect sighed in admiration. Chief Xing Yi of the Nine Magnificence Palace had a deep look in his eyes as he said to Gong Yangyu rather discontentedly, You knew long ago that he was of the Demon Eye clan? Gong Yangyu smiled but did not speak. As he saw it, forcing the position of chief of Mount Kunlun to Chu Hen had truly been the wisest decision he had ever made. With just Chu Hen alone, Mount Kunlun would forever suppress the Myriad World sect and the Nine Magnificence Palace as the leader of the three major forces in the Victory East state. Chief Gong Yangyu, can you not laugh so obviously? Xiao Yong said. Ha 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 ha. Gong Yangyu could not hold it in any longer. Shouldn't the two of you be thanking me? Fortunately, I stopped the two of you from interfering in the Battle of the Lightning Saint Palace. Otherwise, the two of you would not have dared to stand here. Xing Yi snorted coldly and ignored him. Let's go. I originally wanted to greet that brat since I just broke through to the Saint King stage, but it seems like there's no need for that now. You're already here? Are you really not going? Gong Yangyu asked. I'm not going. Xiao Yong waved his hand. I'm embarrassed to be left so far behind by a junior. I feel embarrassed too. Unlike a certain sect leader whose cultivation is worlds apart from his disciples, he still has the face to be a sect leader. Xing Yi pointed at the mulberry tree and scolded the locust tree. Gong Yangyu was speechless. Can you blame me for this? I say, the two of you. Xiao Yong and Xing Yi ignored him. The two of them turned into a beam of light and shot into the sky, disappearing from the sky above Mount Kunlun. Gong Yangyu felt helpless. Forget it, I'll go back and continue my closed-door cultivation. As soon as he finished speaking, his figure flashed and vanished from the peak of the mountain range. On top of the battered city gate tower, the chaotic airflow gradually calmed down. Seeing Chu Hen land on the ground, everyone hurried to greet him. Big brother Chu Hen, you're amazing. Even 3 pairs of demonic eyes were no match for you. Yi Yao's eyes lit up. Third brother, you really made us sweat. Speaking of which, how did you do that last move? Long Qingyang exclaimed. Chu Hen smiled and turned to look at Bai Qianyu. Bai Qianyu was both surprised and happy. Are you hurt? I'm fine. Chu Hen shook his head. At the same time, Xia Guang helped Yi Kong and Qingwen up. The three of them had awkward expressions on their faces. Xia Guang was all right. Chu Hen had not dealt a heavy blow at the last moment. As for Yi Kong and Qingwen, their expressions were a little dazed. Both of them had been attacked by an illusory art and were not particularly clear-headed for the time being. Lord Li Wushang, Lord Outer Young Master, we hope that you can forgive us for our previous offense. Xia Guang lowered his head, an ashamed expression on his face. Yi Kong and Qingwen had extremely ugly expressions on their faces as well. It would be fine if Xia Guang had been the only one who had been defeated. However, the three of them had still been defeated in such a humiliating manner. They did not even dare to raise their voices. Long Qingyang, Yi Yao, and the others were inwardly delighted to see their completely different attitudes. When they came, a certain someone's face was almost up to the skies. This difference is really... Yi Yao rolled her eyes. The three of them were even more embarrassed, wishing that they could find a hole in the ground to hide in. Walking over, Li Wushang also had a faint smile on his face. When will you return? Hearing these words, Chu Hen's eyes flickered with anticipation. Xia Guang raised his head slightly, saying to the two of them, Anytime. Good night, everyone. Chapter 1549. Scree, a resonant eagle's cry resounded through the skies as a majestic eagle with a wingspan of over 300 meters shot through the clouds like a streak of light. As the eagle whistled past, a string of dazzling silver lightning could be vaguely seen interweaving in the air. Tearing through the air, one could see how fast it was. At this moment, there were 7 people on the back of this flowing light eagle. 3 of them were Xia Guang, Yi Kong, and Qing Wen, who had come from the Demon Eye clan. The other 4 were Li Wushang, Chu Hen, Bai Qianyu, and Long Qingyang. Their destination was the Demon Eye clan. This had originally been Chu Hen's matter alone, but under his request, Bai Qianyu and Long Qingyang had come along as well. A piercingly cold gust of air assaulted them. Under the lightning-fast speed of the flowing light eagle, the mountains, peaks, streams, and rivers below were all quickly left behind. The atmosphere on the eagle's back was rather quiet. They were all silent, as if they had their own worries. Of course, Xia Guang and the other 2 would not take the initiative to talk to Chu Hen. They had all been incredibly arrogant when they had gone to Kuan City, but their faces had all been slap-swollen when they returned. This was especially so for Qing Wen and Yi Kong, who were still fuming with anger even now. If I hadn't fallen for his illusions at the start, he would definitely have been the one to lose. Qing Wen muttered softly, her eyes filled with resentment and regret. Humph, I was careless. Who could have thought that he would be so despicable as to make the first move? Yi Kong expressed his dissatisfaction as well. At this moment, the illusions on the 2 had been completely dispelled. Their consciousness had also returned to normal. After all, it was Chu Hen who had made the first move. The 2 were naturally unconvinced. Alright, it's already very embarrassing. He's only a mortal great Saint King. Even if we won, we would feel disgraced, much less losing. Xia Guang swept a glance at the 2, indicating that there was no need to mention this matter anymore. Chu Hen did not hear the discussion of the 3 people not far away. To be precise, he did not care. His deep eyes stared at the mountains in front of him that pierced through the clouds. It was as if his soul had left his body. It was very quiet. What are you thinking about? Bai Qianyu patted his arm lightly. Chu Hen came back to his senses and looked to the side. A beautiful face that could topple cities came into view. It's nothing. Chu Hen smiled. Are you still afraid? Bai Qianyu asked softly. And Chu Hen didn't deny it and immediately said, but it's much better than before. No matter what the outcome is, I'm prepared to face it. That's good. Bai Qianyu gently hooked her arm around Chu Hen's broad palm. Her slender and fair little hand was like a beautiful jade with a faint warmth. I'll be by your side. Chu Hen's heartstrings were slightly stirred. He wanted to say something but hesitated. He smiled and didn't say anything else. The past few days had been rather torturous for Chu Hen. But as he got closer to the Demon Eye Sacred Clan, his heart gradually calmed down. No matter what the outcome was, Chu Hen was mentally prepared. Even if it was the worst-case scenario, he would do his best to face it calmly. The journey was rather long. Long Qingyang's eyes were tightly shut as he sat cross-legged in meditation. On the other side, Li Wushang was looking meaningfully at Chu Hen and Bai Qianyu, who were snuggling together. Between his brows, there was a hint of indescribable complexity. The stars moved, the sun and moon alternated. Dawn rose. Screech, all of a sudden, the flowing light falcon burst out with an extremely astonishing speed. It was like a light shuttle chasing after the sun, the moon, and the heavens, rushing toward a vast mountain stream in front of it. Chu Hen's heart skipped a beat. Long Qingyang also woke up with a start. We're about to enter the illusion realm. Xia Guang, who was standing on the eagle's head, reminded. Illusion realm? Chu Hen was taken aback. Swish. The moment it spoke, the flowing light eagle's entire body erupted with a dazzling radiance, leaving behind countless powerful air waves in the air. Under Chu Hen and Long Qingyang's astonished gazes, the flowing light eagle suddenly flew into a waterfall in the mountain stream. The 2 were shocked. Long Qingyang subconsciously wanted to shout, "Stop!" But then, with a hum, space trembled as the eagle, which was supposed to crash into the steep cliff behind the waterfall, passed through a dreamy and distorted light screen. It was like ripples on the surface of a lake. Swish! The flowing light eagle disappeared into the vast mountain stream with everyone in tow. Whoosh! At the same time, a dazzling white light flashed in front of them. Following that, the world in front of Chu Hen astonishingly underwent a huge change. The mountain stream valley in front of them had transformed into a paradise with verdant hills and limpid waters. It was as if they were in a fairyland. The crisscrossed plains intersected between the mountains and rivers. The rivers were winding and rugged, like giant dragons crawling on the ground. The spiritual qi gathered in the air was much denser than the outside world. This is the illusion realm, where the demon eye sacred clan is temporarily staying. Seeing Chu Hen's somewhat perplexed expression, Qing Wen casually explained a bit. Her words more or less carried a hint of provocation. She even glanced at Li Wushang. It seemed that Chu Hen didn't know anything about the demon eye sacred clan. The 10 strongest sacred clans all have their own independent realms, Bai Qianyu explained to Chu Hen. Oh! Chu Hen was slightly surprised. Don't they live in the East region, Midland, or somewhere else? Bai Qianyu shook her head. They do have strongholds, but the places where they live are all independent realms. Just like the demonic realm that connects to the chaos demon realm, and the god-forbidden blood prison where the ferocious demons gather, they all belong to independent realms. Chu Hen nodded. He remembered that Bai Qianyu had mentioned in the Light Saint clan that she lived in the Cloud Realm's White Sovereign City. At the time, he had thought that it was somewhere in Midland, but now that he thought about it, it didn't seem to be the case. How are these independent realms formed? Long Qingyang asked curiously. Chu Hen was also interested. Bai Qianyu's red lips parted as she replied. Most domain spaces are formed by themselves, and the distance between domains is relatively close. As long as a space channel is opened between them, then 2 domains can be connected together. Of course, there is an extremely small number of domains that were opened up by the ancestors of the various saint races with their supreme strength. Create independent realms? Long Qingyang exclaimed. What kind of almighty being would that be? Bai Qianyu smiled. Creating an independent realm is not something that can be done in a day. In fact, it takes tens of thousands of years or even longer to create a city. It's like a chaotic world in the vast universe that's constantly changing, slowly being nurtured from nothingness. Long Qingyang was completely confused and did not understand at all. Chu Hen, on the other hand, seemed to understand a little. Subconsciously, he asked, does that mean the East domain that we are in, the Midland, could also be a special space created by a powerful being who created the world? That's right. I always thought so when I was young. Bai Qianyu smiled sweetly, her bright eyes shining. Wow! Chu Hen nodded in amazement. If that's the case, then the one who created this world must be a godlike being. Bai Qianyu was amused by Chu Hen's expression. When I was young, every time I had this thought, my dad would say that I was a little fool. Bai Qianyu gently poked Chu Hen's head with her finger, covering her mouth as she giggled. So I'm not the only fool, ha ha. Chu Hen didn't know whether to laugh or to be angry. His words were just a joke to cater to the other party. There were too many unknown realms in this world. Realms like Midland and the East region, which were endless, had probably existed for billions of years before they could be born from the chaos. It was an infinitely mysterious world. The realms intersected. Caw! The flowing light eagle let out a long cry. Chu Hen, Bai Qianyu, and the others turned around subconsciously. In the distance of the vast plains was a lofty and magnificent palace that stood towering beneath the sky, and it revealed a desolate and ancient aura. And on top of that city tower, Purple Imperial City, the 3 majestic and imposing words entered everyone's eyes. They're here. Wang Realm, Purple Imperial City. The Demon Eye Clan's territory. Chu Hen stood up and the expression on his face quietly became deep and serious. This day. It's finally here. Chapter 1550. Scree, the flowing light eagle that pierced through the clouds like a sharp arrow gradually slowed down. Then, it dove downwards, landing at the center of the plaza like a spirit goose returning to its nest. Xia Guang and the other two leapt off the eagle's back first. Chu Hen, Bai Qianyu and Long Qingyang followed them into the plaza. Hurried and steady footsteps could be heard, as over a dozen valiant figures clad in sacred armor hurried over. Lord Xiaoguang, you've returned. Their leader was a tall middle-aged man. Even though he was much older than Xiaoguang, his tone was still rather respectful. It could be seen that Xiaoguang and the other two had rather high statuses within the clan. Xiaoguang nodded, immediately replying, "Go inform fourth elder. The outer young master has returned." "What?" Everyone's eyes lit up as their gazes swept towards Chu Hen and Long Qingyang behind them. They seemed to be wondering which one was the outer young master. On the other hand, the middle-aged guard in the lead walked towards Chu Hen. Within his sharp gaze there was a bit of emotion. This must be the outer young master. Chu Hen raised his brows slightly, rather surprised. Before Chu Hen could ask, the other party continued. "He looks very much like Lord Jixia. It would be great if she was still here." The first and second half of his words caused a huge contrast in Chu Hen's emotions. His expression involuntarily changed as he clenched his fists together. If she were still around? In that instant, Chu Hen felt as if his heart was being gripped by an invisible hand as he felt suffocated. "You mean, my mother is no longer around?" Chu Hen's voice trembled slightly. He stared fixedly at the middle-aged guard's eyes. The latter was taken aback. He was clearly taken aback by Chu Hen's reaction. Not far away, Xia Guang, Yi Kong and Qingwen exchanged glances as well before subconsciously turning towards Li Wushang. It had been so many years. Had Li Wushang not told Chu Hen anything about his origins and what had happened to the demon pupil race back then? Me! The middle-aged guard was at a loss. That's true. If she was still here, she wouldn't have avoided me for so many years. Chu Hen's eyes were a little lonely, and a bitter smile appeared on his face. Bai Qianyu hurriedly held onto Chu Hen's arm and gently covered his fist, soothing Chu Hen's restless heart. "Don't be like this, don't be anxious." Long Qingyang also came forward to pat Chu Hen on the shoulder. "Yes, Miss Bai is right. Don't worry, wait until we meet the higher-ups of the demonic Eye Sacred clan and hear what they have to say." Chu Hen took a deep breath and slowly loosened his clenched fist. He looked back at Bai Qianyu, her bright and beautiful peach blossom eyes containing a faint smile and encouragement. Chu Hen squeezed out a smile. "I'm fine. Violet Imperial City is still the same as before, just that there are a lot less people here." A voice full of bitterness came from another direction. Li Wushang had walked to the edge of the city tower, looking down at the place he used to be most familiar with. The usually calm and easygoing Li Wushang felt an indescribable sense of desolation. Lord Li Wushang, you're back too." The middle-aged guard shuddered and hurriedly walked toward Li Wushang. The expressions of the other guards behind him also changed. "Sky Lone Star Guard? Lord Li Wushang? It's him. There's no mistaking it. Although he's a little different from before, he's still Lord Li Wushang." All the guards were surprised and delighted, and they even felt excited. Speaking of Li Wushang, everyone in the demonic Eye Sacred clan knew him. He was one of the 4 star guards under the demonic Eye Sacred Emperor, and the Emperor's most trusted right-hand man. After the demonic Eye Sacred clan's disaster, Li Wushang had never returned to Violet Imperial City. There were even rumors that he was dead. Now that he'd returned safe and sound, everyone was overjoyed. Li Wushang turned around and nodded at the middle-aged guard. He did not say anything, merely looking at Xia Guang and the others. "Let's go. Let's go." It was a simple word, but it contained an indescribable bitterness and profoundness. Things remained the same, but people had changed. Even after so many years, no matter how calm Li Wushang's heart was, he still could not hide the sorrow in the depths of his heart. A while later, within a hall called the Purple Eye Great Hall, 4 cups of tea were served. However, no one was in the mood to enjoy the fragrant tea. Everyone seemed to have something on their minds, and the silent atmosphere caused the entire great hall to be especially quiet. Compared to Chu Hen's reticence, Bai Qianyu's eyes also contained a faint trace of unease. "Thank you, Miss Bai," Long Qingyang suddenly said softly. Bai Qianyu was taken aback. She immediately realized that he was referring to Chu Hen. "It's fine." Bai Qianyu smiled politely, glancing back at Chu Hen with an indescribably complex expression on her face. Now, another set of footsteps resounded. "Fourth elder and the others have arrived," Xia Guang subconsciously said. They immediately stood up, their gazes sweeping outside the great hall. Then, a few figures with extraordinary bearings appeared at the entrance of the hall. Li Wuxiang's eyelids twitched slightly when he saw their leader, a look of surprise appearing on his face. Xia Guang, Yi Kong and Qingwen could not help but be taken aback. They then hurriedly bowed in greeting. "Lord Heavenly Wolf Star Guard, whoosh!" A formless, powerful aura emanated. The newcomer was not the fourth elder that Xia Guang had spoken of, but another Star Guard of the Demon Eye Emperor, the Heavenly Wolf Star Guard. "Rao Filwan," Li Wuxiang said mildly. "Li Wuxiang, how have you been, Heavenly Wolf Star Guard, Rao Filwan?" While she appeared to be around the same age as Li Wuxiang, the aura she emanated was completely different. Li Wuxiang was cultured and refined, amiable and easygoing. Rao Filwan, on the other hand, was domineering, his eyes as sharp as an eagle's, just like his nickname, Heavenly Wolf. "I didn't want to see you so soon," Li Wuxiang said bluntly. While they were both left and right arms of the Demon Eye Emperor, Li Wuxiang and Rao Filwan did not seem to have a particularly harmonious relationship. "Haha!" Rao Filwan laughed coldly. "I didn't come here just to see you." With that, Rao Filwan shifted his gaze back, his attention first landing on Long Qingyang. However, he immediately felt that something was wrong. "There's no demon eyes aura, clearly." Long Qingyang was not the person he was looking for. Then, Rao Filwan turned to look at Chu Hen, only to be even more surprised. Mortal Great Saint King Realm? He could see through Chu Hen's cultivation with a single glance. Then, Rao Filwan turned to look at Xia Guang, Yi Kong and Qingwen again. They naturally understood what Rao Filwan was thinking. Young Master Y's eye power is extraordinary, and the three of us couldn't defeat him even after joining forces. Oh? Rao Filwan couldn't help but narrow his eyes. He knew that Xia Guang wouldn't dare lie to him, and his gaze towards Chu Hen became a little more profound. "If the three of you can't defeat a mortal great Saint King, what use are the three of you?" Suddenly, a mocking voice sounded from outside the door once more. A few more figures entered the great hall. Fourth elder, Li Wuxiang's expression changed slightly. Chu Hen, Bai Qianyu and Long Qingyang also followed Li Wuxiang forward. The first to step into the hall was an old man with a slightly bent body and skinny skin. The old man wore plain gray clothes and held a scepter in his hand. His turbid eyes seemed to have seen through the countless storms of the world. However, it wasn't the fourth elder who had spoken just now. Instead, it was another young figure who had come in with him. This person looked to be about 2 or 3 years older than Chu Hen, and his appearance and demeanor were extraordinary. A heaven rank and 2 earth rank great saint kings couldn't defeat a mortal great saint king. "You're a disgrace to the Heavenly Wolf Star Guard," the young man said indifferently. Xia Guang and the other two lowered their heads with an ugly expression on their faces. "This is?" Li Wuxiang asked. "Junior Li Kurn greets Lord Lone Star Guard." The young man cupped his fists slightly and bowed towards Li Wuxiang. The corner of his mouth curled up with a hint of arrogance. "Oh!" Li Wuxiang's eyes narrowed slightly as he saw through the young man's strength. The limit of the 7-star Demon Eyes bloodline. A peak heaven rank Great Saint King cultivation base. He seemed to be stepping into the quasi-emperor realm. The most important point was, the young man's surname was Li. Looking at Li Wushang's slightly surprised expression, Rao Failwan of the Heavenly Wolf Star Guard revealed a smug smile. Li Kuan's father and Emperor Demon Ai are cousins. They are of the same bloodline, and according to our evaluation, his Demon Ai clan bloodline is second only to Emperor Demon Ai. The bloodline of the bloodline, second only to Emperor Demon Ai. Rao Failwan said these two words with great force. Li Wushang smiled. He didn't seem surprised at all. From the moment Xia Guang and the other two had made things difficult for Chu Hen, he had already guessed some things. Emperor Demon Ai's cousin. Although they weren't close relatives, they could indeed be called of the same bloodline. Although Li Wushang also had the surname Li, he was different from Li Kuan. Li Wushang belonged to the outer branch of the clan, and was separated by several generations. He was only slightly related to Emperor Demon Ai. Ha ha! Li Wushang laughed, not minding this at all. He pointed at Chu Hen and said, "This is the son of Lord Li Jixia, the nephew of Emperor Demon Ai." When he heard this, Chu Hen couldn't help but feel shocked. Long Qingyang also looked at him in astonishment. Emperor Demon Ai's nephew? Doesn't that mean that Emperor Demon Ai is my uncle? Chu Hen found this a little hard to believe. Bai Qianyu was also rather surprised. Although she had long since guessed that Chu Hen had the bloodline of the Demon Ai clan, she hadn't thought that he would be a blood relative of Emperor Demon Ai. Heavenly Wolf Star Guard Rao Failwan smiled coldly. But his surname isn't Li. You. Li Wushang's face immediately darkened, a trace of coldness surging in his eyes. Enough. At this time, the fourth elder's scepter slammed heavily on the ground, creating an extremely dignified sound. Look at you. You've just returned to the clan and you're already fighting for power. Do you think you can revive the clan with your conduct? Li Wushang's gaze softened slightly. Rao Failwan chuckled and didn't say anything else. Li Kuan raised an eyebrow and looked with interest at Chu Hen, who was at the back of the hall, a hint of playfulness in his eyes. The fourth elder hobbled toward Chu Hen with his walking stick. His cloudy old eyes shone with a bit of light. You must have suffered a lot in the outside world all these years, right? The fourth elder's gentle tone was that of a respected elder. Chu Hen could see a welcoming expression on his wrinkled face. Chu Hen smiled. Not at all. The Lone Star Guard protected me very well. Very well, made Li Wushang's heart tremble. Long Qingyang, who had grown up with Chu Hen, couldn't help but feel a lump in his throat. All these years, Chu Hen didn't seem to have it easy. Since the day he saw Li Wushang again, Chu Hen had been rushing around that cruel and heartless world. He couldn't remember how many times he'd survived. He couldn't remember how many times he'd escaped from the gates of hell. And he couldn't remember how many times he'd fought in fierce battles. However, Chu Hen only said one thing. I'm fine. Li Wushang couldn't help but lower his head. Looking at Chu Hen's handsome side profile and the slightly raised corners of his mouth, Bai Qianyu's heart faintly felt a bit of heartache. She only knew a part of the bitterness in this young man's heart, but that part was something that countless people had never experienced. If a person's heart was filled with pain and difficulties, then how much sweetness would it take to make up for it? The answer was a little bit of sweetness. A little bit of sweetness was enough. That was why Chu Hen had held Bai Qianyu like a child that night. He didn't need too much sweetness, just the simplest support was enough. At this moment, Bai Qianyu only hoped that what she heard next wouldn't disappoint Chu Hen. That would be enough. Good boy. When I see you, it's like seeing Jixia. You two really look alike. Fourth elder patted Chu Hen's shoulder lightly, then turned to Li Wushang. How much have you told me? Li Wushang shook his head. The fourth elder understood and nodded his head. He then asked Chu Hen again, Are you prepared? Yes. Chu Hen agreed. Where do you want to start? My parents. Chu Hen answered resolutely. Fourth elder nodded slightly, his shriveled lips moving slightly as he spoke in an old yet gentle voice. Your mother, Li Jixia, is our clan's 9th elder. She has a high position and is also Emperor Demon Eye's most beloved sister, and your father. Chu Hen's pupils contracted, his heartbeat speeding up. Chu Chentian. Fourth elder paused, a strange light surging out of his murky eyes. From The Chaotic Race. P.S. That's all for tonight. Good night, everyone. Chapter 1551. And your father, Chu Ran Tian, came from the Chaos Clan. The fourth elder's murky eyes glinted with a strange light. The Chaos Clan? When he heard those 4 words, Chu Hen's pupils shrunk tightly and his heartbeat sped up. Bai Qianyu's beautiful eyes narrowed in surprise. Chu Hen clenched his fists unconsciously. Waves of uneasiness surged in his heart. He suppressed the uneasiness in his heart and stared at the fourth elder's wrinkled face expectantly. Speaking of the Chaos Clan, you should be very unfamiliar with it. The fourth elder paused, his eyes filled with fear. He continued, 10,000 years ago, this clan was called the Chaos God Clan. There was once in existence who possessed the bloodline of a divine body. In times of chaos, he ruled the heavens, slaughtered demons, and suppressed the 10 strongest sacred clans, the Chaos God Clan. The divine body bloodline limit. Chu Hen felt his scalp tingle when he heard those words. The Chaos God Clan had suppressed the 10 strongest sacred clans by himself. What kind of terrifying existence was that? Who was that person? Chu Hen asked in a low voice. The ruler of the Chaos God Clan. People call him the Heavenly Emperor. The fourth elder's voice trembled a little. The Heavenly Emperor. Everyone in the great hall could not help but be moved when they heard those 2 words. The image of an emperor who stood proudly above the vast heavens and shook the world appeared in everyone's mind. Everyone bowed and murmured in low voices. The 10 strongest sacred clans bowed their heads in submission. The Heavenly Emperor. The mere mention of this name reminded everyone of the fear the sacred clans had felt when they were dominated by him during the chaotic era. The 10 sacred clans know best how powerful the Heavenly Emperor who ruled the Chaos God Clan was. It's said that the patriarch of the Dragon Blood Saint Clan didn't like the Heavenly Emperor's control and summoned his heart beast to fight against the Heavenly Emperor. In the end, the Heavenly Emperor killed the Dragon Blood Saint Clan's heart beast with his mighty power. Since then, the 10 strongest sacred clans have all submitted to the Celestial Emperor. Although the fourth elder's words were light and steady, in the ears of everyone present, they were like a clap of thunder that shook the hearts of everyone in the hall. Kill the heart beast? Hearing this, Chu Hen felt a chill run down his spine. Chu Hen had already sensed the aura of the heart beast twice. Just that aura alone was enough to make one's heart palpitate with fear. However, the Heavenly Emperor was so powerful that he could even kill the heart beast. How shocking was this? How domineering was this? What happened next? Chu Hen asked. He was eager to know what had happened after that. If the Celestial Arch was that terrifying, no one in the primal chaos race would dare to provoke him. The fourth elder let out a deep sigh as a trace of regret appeared in his old eyes. Under the Celestial Emperor's sole control of the world, the chaos between the realms gradually subsided, and the fights between the various sacred clans and sects were also suppressed. Even the monster realm, which had always been incompatible with the human race, restrained itself. The human race lived a rather peaceful and comfortable era. However, with the invasion of the devil race 10,000 years ago, the peaceful era, which had lasted for thousands of years, was quietly broken. If the human race and the demon beasts could still get along with each other, reluctantly, the human race and the devil race would definitely become mortal enemies. The devil race worshipped killing and blood. It was synonymous with cruelty and violence. Moreover, the devil race liked to devour the essence and holy souls of human beings to strengthen themselves. In the eyes of the devil race, human beings were their prey. No one would negotiate peace with their prey. Therefore, the great war between the devil race and the human race, which originated from the godly forbidden blood prison, broke out 10,000 years ago. That was definitely the most chaotic era since the Celestial Emperor came to power. Fierce devil race invaded the human race's territory. A reign of terror swept through all the major regions, and they were reduced to Azura battlefields. In that war, countless powerful human beings and monster emperors fell. Corpses were everywhere, and blood flowed like rivers. Even the entire Midland was almost destroyed. The Chaos God race and the 10 most powerful holy clans also launched a war against the Devil race army in the godly Forbidden Blood prison. In the end, the Celestial Emperor suppressed the evil god, and the human race won. The Chaos God race, the godly Forbidden Blood prison, the Celestial Emperor, the evil god. Chu Hen's heartstrings couldn't help but tremble, especially when he heard the 2 words, Demon God. He subconsciously covered his heart with his hand. His eyes were still filled with fear. In that war, the evil god was directly thrown into the chaos abyss by the Celestial Emperor, and was sealed at the bottom of the abyss forever. Even so, because the Celestial Emperor used up all his life's divine origin, the news that he disappeared from the world soon spread. Disappeared? Chu Hen was stunned. The Celestial Emperor died? The 4th Elder sighed. Maybe. Ever since the war with the evil god, the world has never seen the Celestial Emperor again. People say that he disappeared is just a form of respect and blessing. Although the world is unwilling to admit it, there is no Celestial Emperor in this world. The Celestial Emperor disappeared. The peaceful and tranquil world was once again thrown into disarray. The relationship between the holy clans, sects, and the monster realm became tense again. What about the Chaos God race? Even without the Celestial Emperor, the bloodline limit of the Chaos God body should be enough to suppress the holy clans, right? Chu Hen was confused. Chaos God body. That level of bloodline limit can't even compare to an ordinary holy body. Not far away, Heavenly Wolf Star Guard Rao Failwan laughed disdainfully. Chu Hen's eyes turned cold and he frowned. The 4th Elder raised his hand, indicating that the others should not say anything. The bloodline limit of the Chaos God body is very special. The upper limit of this bloodline is very high, but it is also very difficult to cultivate. Ever since the Celestial Emperor disappeared, the bloodline limit of the Chaos God race seemed to have fallen into silence, and it became weaker with each generation. This phenomenon also accelerated the decline of the Chaos God race. Chaos God body. It was known as the most shocking bloodline limit in the world. It was so strong that it was even stronger than the 10 strongest sacred bodies. Such a powerful body also had a huge drawback. That was the difficulty of cultivation. After the Celestial Emperor, no one in the Chaos God race could reproduce the peerless glory of the bloodline limit of the Chaos God race. Even the most talented of the younger generation could not reach 1,000th of the Celestial Emperor's bloodline. Once they lost the support of the bloodline, the Chaos God race's decline was inevitable. In just 1,000 years, the Chaos God race's overall strength was surpassed by the 10 holy clans. After a few thousand years, the Chaos God race's bloodline was far behind the 10 strongest holy bodies. 10,000 years later, the Chaos God race that once controlled the 10 holy clans was reduced to an ordinary race. People even took away the word God and called them the Chaos God race. Gradually, the various sacred clans had long since forgotten the fear of being dominated by that man from that clan. The 10 strongest holy clans reigned supreme once again. Time flies. The Chaos God race has long fallen to the point where they can't even compare to ordinary holy clans. The 4th Elder's tone was filled with regret. After all, the Celestial Emperor ruled the world, controlled chaos, suppressed the evil god, and created countless glorious achievements that were recorded in history. Just thinking about it made one sigh. However, the 4th Elder's voice paused as his eyes lit up. When the Chaos Clan was almost forgotten by the world, An extraordinary genius suddenly appeared in that clan. Chu Hen's heart skipped a beat. He lifted his eyelids. That genius was as dazzling as his name. He stained the world. He was your father, Chu Rantian. Come. Wonderful Book House. Chapter 1552. Invade the World. Chu Rantian. A name as dazzling as a million stars in the night sky, the innate dominance of a king. Chu Hen couldn't help but clench his fist. It was as if the blood in his body was rapidly speeding up. Everyone else in the hall was visibly moved when they heard Chu Lenshin's name. Even serious Star Guard Rao Filwan and Li Kuan couldn't help but look at each other. Due to Chu Rantian's sudden appearance, the forgotten Chaos Tribe gradually returned to the world's attention. Chu Zhentian didn't disappoint either. He reached the Soul Emperor realm at the age of 30. What's even more shocking is that Chu Zhentian's Chaos race bloodline has bestowed him with an exceptionally powerful fate. The fourth elder's voice was filled with praise. It was as if 10,000 years had passed. The Chaos Tribe's dormant bloodline seemed to have been awakened once more. Chu Rantian's appearance, while stunning the world, it also made the other sacred tribes feel uneasy. While the world was paying close attention to Chu Rantian and the Chaos Tribe, something even more unexpected happened. Chu Rantian and Li Jixia, an elder of the demonic Eye tribe, fell in love and got together. One was a stunning genius that the Chaos Tribe had pinned their hopes on. The other was Emperor Demonic Eye's younger sister. The union of the two of them had undoubtedly caused a series of surging storms in the various clans. A divine body was a divine body after all. Even if it had been dormant for tens of thousands of years, once it awakened, it would definitely bring great terror to this world. Chu Rantian alone was enough to make people feel uneasy. Moreover, the marriage alliance between the Demon Eye clan and the Demon Eye clan had directly alerted the world and made them panic. Back then, the Demonic Eye tribe had a strong foundation and a marriage alliance with the Chaos tribe. It was because of this alliance that the younger generation grew fearful. They worried that our two tribes would grow into even more terrifying factions. That's why we were envied and brought disaster upon ourselves. The fourth elder sighed deeply. That's how the human heart is. As long as the opponent was a threat to his existence, he would get rid of them quickly. Just a few days after you turned 1 month old, your parents brought you back to visit your family. Those thieves who had been waiting for an opportunity seized the opportunity to invade the Chaos race and the Demon Eye Saint clan. The fourth elder's eyes were somewhat gloomy, and his tone was mixed with traces of hatred and anger. In that battle, the Demon Eye Sacred clan suffered heavy casualties and suffered unprecedented losses. As for the primal Chaos race, due to Chu Rantian's absence, it was difficult for them to defend against the invasion of foreign enemies. In fact, it could be said that the primal Chaos race has almost been wiped out. Clan extermination. These two words were particularly piercing to the ears. Chu Hen's tightly clenched fists unconsciously creaked, his knuckles faintly turning white. "Who is it?" He stared at the fourth elder and asked, anger burning in his eyes. Behind him, Bai Qianyu raised her beautiful eyes slightly, and there was a hint of solemnity in her beautiful brows. The fourth elder paused slightly. His thin throat moved slightly, and he spat out a few words with incomparable clarity. "The mastermind is the Divine Eye Saint race. The mastermind. The Divine Eye Saint race." Clang! In that instant, Chu Hen's expression changed drastically, and he felt as if he had been struck by lightning. Behind him, Long Qingyang also turned pale with fright. He subconsciously turned to look at Bai Qianyu. The Divine Eye Saint race? Shock, panic, disbelief. Bai Qianyu's delicate body trembled like a cicada in winter, and there was not a single trace of blood on her beautiful face. "Impossible, impossible," Bai Qianyu muttered to herself in a daze. "Are you sure?" Chu Hen's voice was inexplicably trembling, as if a heavy, sharp object had struck his heart. His expression was unusually ugly. Not far away, the lone star guard, Wei Li Wushang, narrowed his eyes and frowned even more deeply. The heavenly wolf star guard, Rao Failwan and Li Kuan, couldn't help but look at each other in bewilderment. They could vaguely sense that Chu Hen's expression was a little strange, and his aura was abnormally chaotic. Meanwhile, the fourth elder, who was facing Chu Hen, didn't notice the change in their expressions. He seemed to be immersed in the past, and his skinny figure and cloudy eyes gave off a faint sense of sorrow and helplessness. He paused for a moment before continuing. The divine Eye Saint race and the demonic Eye Saint race have always been at odds. Both saint clans focus on eye techniques, and neither side has been willing to submit to the other since ancient times. There has always been a great dispute over which is stronger, the demonic Eye Saint race or the divine Eye Saint race. It's also because of this dispute that the two races have never been able to reconcile. Especially after the heavenly Thearcha's disappearance, the friction continued to intensify. Demonic eye, divine eye, one purple, one gold. It was like a battle between evil and holiness, or a demon god and an emperor. For a long time, humans had an inexplicable repulsion towards the same things. The demonic Eye Saint race and the divine Eye Saint race both focused on cultivating eye techniques, especially since they both had the bloodline limit of the 10 strongest saint physique. It was like fate. They were fated to be rivals. It just so happened that on the day your parents brought you back to the clan, Emperor Bai and the demonic Eye Emperor met at the Sky Palace alone and announced that they would have a battle at the Heavenly King Mountain to put an end to this. But we never expected that this was just a plot by the divine Eye Saint race. They just wanted to take advantage of the demonic Eye Emperor's absence to invade our race and the chaotic clan, intending to uproot us. The fourth elder's words were full of bitterness as he spoke of the past. Because they were worried about the great power that the demonic Eye Saint race and the chaotic clan would bring, the divine Eye Saint race decided to go all out and eliminate the two saint clans to prevent future troubles. Humph! Despicable and shameless divine Eye Saint race. The others in the hall also cursed. How can such a shameless race be called a saint? What a joke. One day we will definitely make the divine Eye Saint race pay with their blood. The crowd scolded sternly. Their eyes were red, and their faces were cold. At this moment these words were like sharp thorns that pierced Bai Qianyu's heart. She trembled and shook her head continuously. At this moment, Chu Hen slowly turned around. His eyes, which were filled with deep pain and sorrow, met Bai Qianyu's gaze, which directly pierced Bai Qianyu's heart. Is this all true? Lady Bai? A tear filled with bitterness fell from the corner of Chu Hen's eye. Pain, sorrow. Under that seemingly calm appearance, there was actually a kind of heart-wrenching bitterness. Calm. Wonderful Book House. Chapter 1553. One's life in this world. One would often feel how small the world was. Two people who did not know each other at first, only to discover that they were related. Perhaps it was a good karma. Perhaps it was an ill-fated relationship. People would always have mysterious connections. Usually, such coincidences were called fate. The stealthy wheel of fate had already begun to spin at some point in time. Natural enemies. Their respective destinies. Two completely different points, driven by fate, quietly intertwined in the orbit of the Wheel of Light. This was fate. On the way here, Chu Hen had already mentally prepared himself. He had also repeatedly warned himself that no matter how bad the outcome was, he would still convince himself to accept it. However, as the truth of the past was revealed layer by layer, Chu Hen felt like he was about to suffocate. Tears welled up in the corners of his eyes, and his eyes were filled with unprecedented sorrow and bitterness. His heart was about to be torn into countless pieces. Is this all true? Lady Bai? What? Lady Bai? In that instant, everyone from the demonic Eye Sacred clan was shocked. Her surname is Bai? Could it be someone from the Holy Eyed Saint clan? A piercingly cold chill instantly permeated the air, heading straight for Bai Qianyu. At this moment, Bai Qianyu was almost unable to breathe. The gaze that originated from Chu Hen was like a sharp arrow that pierced through her heart. No, it's not like that. She shook her head in a daze. Then what is it? Can you tell me? Chu Hen's voice trembled. The sorrow in his eyes was heartbreaking. Tears welled up in Bai Qianyu's beautiful peach blossom eyes. She looked at Chu Hen. I don't know, but it's definitely not the Holy-Eyed clan. It really was someone from the Holy-Eyed Saint clan. A chilling aura immediately engulfed the entire palace. Humph, you bitch from the Holy-Eyed Saint clan. How dare you come to our Ziyu city? How audacious of you! The serious Star Guard shouted coldly. Everything your clan has done to us is infuriating. It wasn't us. Bai Qianyu tried her best to explain. She was extremely flustered, so flustered that it was pitiful. Humph, do you still want to quibble? You've caused the death of Emperor Demon Eye, and you know what you've done to the sacred clan. How else can you explain yourself? Another high-ranking member of the Demon Eye sacred clan yelled. Bai Qianyu looked at him and replied sadly, but my father is dead too. It was a bone-deep pain. A heart-wrenching sadness. Bai Qianyu's tears were already flowing uncontrollably. Her beautiful eyes were brimming with tears as she looked at Chu Hen. Both of their eyes were filled with a kind of bitterness, as if they were about to be torn apart. My father didn't come back either. She looked at the young man who had been so gentle not long ago and murmured in a heartbroken tone. He didn't come back either. He and Emperor Demon Eye died in the Sky Dome Palace, yes. Her father did not return either. Ever since she met Bai Qianyu, she had always been gentle, cold, and mischievous in front of Chu Hen, but she had never shown the slightest bit of weakness or pity. Even back in the immortal demon tomb, when the two of them had unintentionally done something ridiculous, Bai Qianyu had only felt helpless and sad about what had happened to her. She had never shown any pity in front of Chu Hen. Right now, her wronged and helpless appearance caused Chu Hen's heart to ache. He clenched and released her trembling fingers. He wanted so badly to hold Bai Qianyu in his arms. But when he thought of the massacre of the Demon Eye Sacred Clan and the Chaotic Clan, he almost felt suffocated. Why was it her? Chu Hen felt like he was about to die. He had never been in so much pain before. So you're Emperor Bai's daughter. The members of the Demon Eye Sacred Clan were shocked and angry, but they also felt deeply surprised. Humph, Emperor Bai deserved to die. He was arrogant and thought that he could defeat Emperor Demon Eye. Who would have thought that he would meet his end too? This is a typical example of self-inflicted evil. That bastard Emperor Bai schemed and schemed to get rid of the Demon Eye Sacred Clan in one fell swoop. Who would have thought that God would open his eyes and pay for it with his own life? Ha 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 ha. The crowd mocked and cursed. All the attacks were aimed at Bai Qianyu. Bai Qianyu only shook her head. She argued, the Demon Eye Sacred Clan and the Holy Eye Sacred Clan are equally strong. Just our clan alone is not enough to defeat the two of you. Moreover, there's the Chaotic Clan. Didn't you think of such a big point? To be honest, given Bai Qianyu's personality, she did not like to argue. Or rather, she did not even bother to argue. But today, she tried to defend herself, but she was afraid of the young man's sorrowful eyes. Humph, the Holy Eye Sacred Clan naturally doesn't have that ability. But that bastard Emperor Bai is very good at forming alliances. Who knows how many shady forces you've colluded with in secret? That's right. The Holy Eye Sacred Clan has a close relationship with the Beast Region. When the Chaotic Clan was exterminated, the Beast Region sent out a large force. Don't think we don't know about this. I don't care how many people your God Eye clan secretly gathered back then, or which sacred clans you allied with. We will investigate everything clearly. None of those who attacked our Demon Eye clan will have an easy time. It was as if they were stuck in a quagmire, unable to extricate themselves. Everyone knew that the Holy Eye Sacred Clan had a close relationship with the other sacred clans. Even the Star Sacred Clan, the Sky Burning Sacred Clan, and the Great Wilderness Sacred Clan had a good relationship with the Holy Eye Sacred Clan. And Chu Hen had personally witnessed their good relationship with the Beast region. Back in the Immortal and Demon Tomb, Bai Qianyu had helped the Beast region take back the Demon Emperor's remains. Bai Qianyu could no longer defend herself. She could not produce any evidence that was beneficial to the Holy Eye Sacred Clan. Instead, she had inadvertently pushed the distance between her and Chu Hen further and further. Even you don't want to believe me? Bai Qianyu's face was streaked with tears. She had never been so sad before. Chu Hen raised his head, but he did not want to look into her eyes. At this moment, he felt pain in his heart even if he breathed a little more. Bai Qianyu bit her lips, and a trace of blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. She raised her hand to wipe away the tears on her face. "All right, today is the last day." With that, Bai Qianyu held back the tears in her eyes and turned to leave. However, before Bai Qianyu could reach the door, a young figure with a proud expression blocked her way. "Ha ha, Miss Bai, you want to leave just like that?" Li Kuan's face was filled with a mocking smile. "What? Does the Demon Eye Sacred Clan want to bully you with numbers?" Bai Qianyu replied coldly. "I wouldn't go so far as to bully you with numbers, but our Purple Imperial City is not a place where you can come and go as you please. Let her go." Before Li Kuan could finish his sentence, Chu Hen's cold voice was heard. However, Li Kuan did not even look at Chu Hen. He continued to speak to Bai Qianyu. "Miss Bai is the daughter of the White Emperor, an honored guest. We can't let you leave just like that. I told you to let her go, didn't you hear me?" In the next instant, a furious roar reverberated throughout the entire hall. Screech! Accompanied by a wave of air trembling in the air, Chu Hen instantly appeared in front of Li Kuan. Li Kuan's face also turned cold and he sneered. "Humph!" In an instant, their eyes flashed with a demonic purple light. Zeng! Buzz! Intense purple light leaked out of their bodies, and the 7 black dots in the depths of their pupils were chasing each other. Rumble! Bang! The earth split open inch by inch. Cracks rapidly spread out from the ground. Immediately after that, a purple pillar of light that blotted the sky erupted from behind Chu Hen and Li Kuan. The walls of the palace immediately split open. Accompanied by an unparalleled majestic momentum, the surrounding people were forced to retreat. Behind the two, a piercingly cold and domineering Nirvana demon spirit appeared. Chapter 1554. Qianqian. Quickly update the latest chapter of Divine King Wu Ji. Rumble, violent turbulence surged out from within the Purple Eye Palace. The earth trembled, and along with the violent shaking, the walls of the palace were instantly covered with layers of cracks. 2 incomparably majestic and terrifying auras overlapped like a tsunami. In an instant, 2 purple Nirvana devil spirits that emitted a piercingly cold and domineering aura suddenly appeared in the palace. Bang! The dull sound was like a clap of thunder. The rapid and cold atmosphere caused the space to distort. Seeing this situation, everyone present was shocked. Chu Hen and Li Kuan looked at each other with their 7-star demon eyes. Their pupils were filled with powerful energy fluctuations that made people's hearts palpitate. "Heh!" Li Kuan sneered disdainfully. "How interesting! You, who have the demon eye bloodline, are actually helping your enemy's daughter." Enemy's daughter. These words were like a sharp knife that pierced straight into Chu Hen's heart. At the same time, it also pierced through Bai Qianyu's heart. She clenched her hands, her eyes filled with heartbreaking sorrow. Chu Hen's face was cold as he stared at Li Kuan's proud face. He said word by word, "Let her leave!" Humph! Li Kuan raised his eyebrows, the corner of his mouth raised in a provocative smile. "What if I say no?" At the same time, Sirius Star Guard Rao Filwan moved and blocked Bai Qianyu's way. "Miss Bai, please stay." Boom! However, before Rao Filwan and Li Kuan could finish their words, a shocking and domineering aura suddenly rose into the sky. Like an exploding star, a huge shock erupted from the central area of the purple imperial city. The majestic ancient palace collapsed instantly. The uncontrollable terrifying aura was like a torrent that broke through a dam. The palace collapsed inch by inch like a collapsing dam, exploding in all directions. What's going on? What happened there? The Demon Eye clansmen in the purple imperial city were shocked. Everyone's faces were filled with shock as they stared at the earth-shattering majestic momentum and the disintegration of the Purple Eye Palace. The chaotic chi waves overturned the entire area, and thousands of rocks flew in all directions. Li Wuxiang, Rao Filwan, and the rest of the Demonic Eye Sacred Clan widened their eyes in disbelief. Even the Fourth Elder's murky old eyes were surging with shock. Buzz, the trembling space distorted as everyone's gazes gathered on the Nirvana demon spirit behind Chu Hen. Behind that huge body, there was an especially domineering black flame light rising. The dense black light transformed into a fiend-godlike shadow that attached itself to the Nirvana demon spirit's back, exuding a terrifying aura that made one's soul palpitate. In an instant, the aura of the Nirvana demon spirit behind Li Kuan was forcefully suppressed. Chu Hen's cold purple demonic eyes actually revealed an indescribable evil and vicious aura. Receiving Chu Hen's gaze, Li Kuan seemed to see a deep and dark black whirlpool, as if he had received a signal of death. You! Li Kuan unconsciously clenched his fists, and the arrogance on his face was replaced by fear. Chu Hen's eyes were filled with disdain. If I want to kill you, it will be as easy as slaughtering a dog. You'd better get lost, or I will kill you today. He enunciated every word. Every word was like a pearl. It was like a sharp blade that directly pierced into the depths of Li Kuan's soul. Everyone's expression changed again and again, because they saw that Li Kuan was actually trembling. Li Kuan, who was a peak heaven stage Great Saint King, actually showed fear in front of a mortal stage Great Saint King Chu Hen. How arrogant of you! Heavenly Wolf Star Guard Rao Filwan shouted. As soon as he finished speaking, Chu Hen's purple eyes surged with endless evil and vicious aura as he looked at Rao Filwan. Roar! It was hard to tell whether it was the roar of a beast or a howl of a demon, but a deep roar that seemed to come from another world suddenly entered everyone's ears. Rao Filwan's heart skipped a beat as he stared at Chu Hen's ice-cold face in shock. If anyone dares to touch a single hair on her today, I, Chu Hen, will definitely make their entire family grieve. Bang! The ground rapidly caved in, and countless cracks spread out. Even the rubble that had been smashed into smithereens, the black figure behind Chu Hen erupted with world-destroying might. Everyone present felt an indescribable tremble from the bottom of their hearts. Chaotic God, divine body, it's exactly the same as Chu Chintian's back then. Heavens, he actually possesses two great bloodlines. Terrifying. Trembling. Unbelievable. It filled the minds of everyone in the Demon Eye Saint clan. Even Li Wuxiang's face was filled with deep shock. Even he was not very clear about the matter of Chu Hen possessing the boundary of the second bloodline. At that moment, everyone felt like they saw Chu Chintian's shadow on Chu Hen, the man whose name exuded a domineering aura. If anyone dares touch a single hair on her today, I, Chu Hen, will make their entire family grieve. Bai Qianyu listened to his words. She'd finally managed to hold back her tears, but couldn't hold them back any longer. She bit her lip, but she didn't have the courage to turn around. She was afraid of seeing his cold, pained gaze. Thank you for speaking up for me. I owe you, but I've already paid back what I owed you. You don't have to pay back what you owe me. From today onwards, we don't owe each other anything. Bai Qianyu covered her tears and left. It was as if staying here for even a second longer was torture. There were millions of words in the world, but the word love was the most hurtful. This was the will of the heavens, and fate made fools of people. They were fated enemies. Just as Bai Qianyu had said. This was a tribulation. and also fate. Some could survive a calamity. However, there were some people who were unable to escape this calamity. You don't have to pay back what you owe me. From today onwards, we don't owe each other anything. From today onwards, we don't owe each other anything. Chu Hen closed his eyes as he watched Bai Qianyu leave sorrowfully. A stream of tears flowed down his cheeks. The higher-ups of the demonic Eye Sacred clan looked at each other and were about to step forward to stop her, but the fourth elder stopped them. Forget it. Let her be. But the fault lies with the divine Eye Sacred clan. It has nothing to do with her. The fourth elder gestured for everyone to stop talking. Buzz, then. Chu Hen coldly looked to the side and looked back at the fourth elder. Where are my parents? His tone was as cold as frost, no longer as respectful as before. A complicated look appeared in the fourth elder's eyes. He paused and said, I only know that they were last seen in the ethereal sky. Where exactly? The southern continent, the immortal seal domain. Thank you for telling me. The indifferent voice did not have the slightest bit of emotion. After speaking, Chu Hen's reddened eyes looked away. Along with the forceful aura that was like a tide, he turned around and left by himself. Chu! The fourth elder's lips moved, but he didn't say anything. Third brother. Long Qingyang hurriedly chased after him. Li Wuxiang glanced at the serious star guard Rao Filwan and Li Kuan meaningfully, then immediately followed. The higher-ups of the demonic Eye Sacred clan were silent in the ruined palace. No one had expected this. The fourth elder's voice was stern. No one is allowed to leak any information about what happened today. Otherwise, you will be severely punished. The fourth elder's voice was filled with dignity. Yes. Everyone replied in unison. Looking at the backs of Chu Hen and the others as they left, the fourth elder's muddy old eyes flashed with a strange light. On the other hand, Rao Filwan also saw through the fourth elder's complicated expression. She narrowed her eyes and glanced at the gloomy Li Kuan, then shook her head. If it was just the demonic Eye Sacred physique, it wouldn't be a problem. But now, another chaotic divine physique had appeared. Li Kuan was in danger. Don't worry, it's very likely another chaotic divine physique that has been dormant, Rao Filwan said in a low voice. Humph, how dare you threaten me? I won't let this go. Li Kuan clenched his fists and said with a cold expression. Would it be the same as the others from the chaotic clan? Another short-lived epiphyllum. It was stunning at first, but then fell silent. The serious star guard Rao Filwan wasn't sure either. Because, just a moment ago, even he felt a trembling aura from Chu Hen's gaze. Chapter 1555. Chu Hen, wait for me. After leaving the Purple Eye Palace, Long Qingyang followed Chu Hen anxiously. Suddenly, Chu Hen paused and turned around, his gaze fixed on something behind Long Qingyang. You knew she was from the Divine Eye Saint clan, didn't you? Long Qingyang paused. He subconsciously turned around to see Li Wuxiang walking towards him with a complicated expression. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Chu Hen pressed. Li Wuxiang shook his head. I didn't know she was the White Emperor's daughter. A bitter self-mocking smile appeared on Chu Hen's face. Perhaps you should have told me the truth the first time we met. I really wanted you to feel the pain of having your heart torn apart. With that, Chu Hen turned around and left without looking back. Long Qingyang hurriedly said to Li Wuxiang, Senior, I'll take care of him. You should stay here for now. Li Wuxiang nodded. He'll come back, Long Qingyang nodded and chased after Chu Hen. Li Wuxiang sighed deeply as he gazed at the stubborn figure. Perhaps he'd underestimated the bond between Chu Hen and Bai Qianyu. But that didn't mean he couldn't understand Chu Hen's pain. Back then, he'd seen those important to him die in front of him. Family, friends, lovers. Sorrow flashed through Li Wuxiang's eyes. Everyone had pain in their hearts, and everyone was trying their best to survive. It was just that everyone had different ways of dealing with and hiding their pain. The moment he left the illusion realm, Chu Hen couldn't hold it in any longer. He stood at the top of a mountain and roared hysterically. Along with the chaotic energy that was recklessly leaking out, wave after wave of mighty shock waves spread out in all directions. One mountain range after another was flattened and collapsed, and the rivers and waterfalls flowed in reverse. Pain. It was almost suffocating. Chu Hen knelt on the ground powerlessly. His eyes were bloodshot and the veins on his neck were bulging. His whole body was trembling uneasily. Even though he was fully prepared in his heart. You can convince yourself to accept the worst of any outcome. However, in the instant that the truth arrived, Chu Hen's heart that was as firm as a rock was destroyed to the point that not even dregs remained. Why was he born in the Demon Eyes clan? Why was Bai Qinyu born in the God Eye Sacred clan? Why were the two races natural enemies? Chu Hen really hated this kind of fate. Various scenes of him and Bai Qinyu together emerged in his mind. What is a wish? Blue sky, green willows, golden beach. Could you be more specific? There is a boat by the blue water. How could it be more specific? To accompany you. That day at the seaside, he softly stated his wish. The cold seawater was like a real hand, erasing the lines of words on the beach. That night in Kuan City, Chu Hen held her in his arms and told her that he was very scared. He was afraid of the unacceptable truth. He personally asked her to accompany him to the Demon Eyes clan. Along the way, Chu Hen tried to prepare himself mentally, but he did not notice the uneasiness hidden in the depths of Bai Qianyu's heart. Even if she was uneasy, she still insisted on accompanying Chu Hen to the Purple Imperial City in the Illusion Realm. Chu Hen knew that Bai Qinyu was also in pain. Both of them were equally heartbroken. But what made it most difficult for Chu Hen to accept was that he could not go forward and hold her in his arms even though he clearly saw her in pain. Fate, enemy, and tribulation. Chu Hen's hands trembled, and he felt like he was almost suffocating. His eyes were bloodshot, and his body exuded a heart-palpitating evil aura. He covered his heart and shouted in a deep voice, "Get out of my way, screech!" There was a strange vibration in the air, and Chu Hen's bloodshot eyes were like black whirlpools, overflowing with a dark light. Chu Hen. Long Qingyang's expression changed when he saw the unusually agitated Chu Hen kneeling on the ground. He rushed forward and held Chu Hen's shoulder. "What's wrong? Wake up, Chu Hen." The moment he touched Chu Hen's body, Long Qingyang's heart shuddered. A cold, murderous aura surged towards him like an endless undercurrent. Chu Hen's eyes shone with a strange, abyss-like aura. "This is?" Long Qingyang was shocked. Chu Hen seemed to be in an intense struggle, and his teeth chattered as his veins bulged. Then, he let out a low and furious roar. "Get back!" Buzz! In the instant he finished speaking, countless rays of purple light shot into the sky from Chu Hen's body. The baleful qi surrounding Chu Hen's body was immediately dispersed. Space immediately caved in, and the rocky cliff below was covered in cracks. Long Qingyang was sent flying by the huge impact, and he crashed heavily onto the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Long Qingyang was shocked and horrified. His face was deathly pale. Then, Chu Hen's vision turned black, and he fell to the ground with a muffled sound. Chu Hen, Long Qingyang ignored his injuries and hurried back to Chu Hen in a panic to help him up. Looking at Chu Hen, who had fallen into a coma, he felt both helpless and uncomfortable. Ai. Long Qingyang's brows knitted together as he sighed deeply. The blow Chu Hen had suffered this time was more unbearable than he had imagined. As the elder brother, there was nothing Long Qingyang could do. "Thank you for speaking up for me. I owe you. But I've already repaid what I owe you. You don't have to repay what you owe me. From today onwards, we owe each other nothing." Outside the demonic realm. Clear pool. Following a series of splashes, the cool pond water quickly submerged Bai Qianyu's beautiful and delicate body. She was like a fairy in the water, allowing the coolness of the water to permeate every inch of her skin. Suffocating. It was as if even breathing was painful. This is really the last day. Bai Qianyu closed her eyes, allowing her body to slowly sink into the water. A chill spread over her tall nose, delicate lips, as well as her beautiful eyebrows. She didn't want to die. She wouldn't die like this. But to Bai Qianyu, the pain she felt now was worse than death. Father, I don't believe that you did those things. Bai Qianyu murmured in her heart. She had never had a mother since she was young, and the only person by her side was her father, Bai Di, the highest authority of the divine I Saint clan. In Bai Qianyu's heart, he was always a warm man. He was also the first man she had ever relied on. Father, where are you going? That year, Bai Qianyu was only 5 years old. She stood on the steps of the palace and looked at the high-spirited White Emperor, who was brimming with heroic spirit. I'm going out, I'll be back soon. Bai Di smiled gently, as if she was his most precious treasure. When is soon? Bai Qianyu asked with her eyes wide open. Bai Di gently scratched her little nose. When the sun rises tomorrow, I'll be back. Really? Really, when have I ever lied to you? I know, I'll wait for you to come back. I'll be 5 the day after tomorrow. Don't forget our promise. Bai Qianyu mischievously blinked her eyes. Looking at his daughter's pure and cute smile, Bai Di's eyes were full of pity and gentleness. I remember that promise. That day. Bai Qianyu waited on the steps outside the palace for an entire day. From morning to evening, and from night to dawn. Finally, on the afternoon of the 3rd day, the man who promised to come back soon broke his promise for the first time. Bai Qianyu did not wait for her father's return. On the 4th day, the holy-eyed Saint tribe fell into an unprecedented panic. That day, it was as if the entire world was gray. 5-year-old Bai Qianyu did not understand what had happened. She only remembered the promise with Bai Di. That very important promise. However, the holy-eyed Saint tribe only brought back Bai Di's mutilated corpse. From then on, Bai Qianyu lived in a gray world for a long time. She no longer showed what she was thinking to anyone. Even though she would smile and show happiness in White Emperor City, it seemed that compared to when she was young, she lacked some of the warmth that came from her heart. Until 3 years ago, in the Tomb of Immortals and Demons, Bai Qianyu met the second man in her life that she cared about. The man who had seemed unremarkable at first. At that time, Chu Hen was not outstanding at all. Even the worst of Bai Qianyu's pursuers was much better than Chu Hen. It was this man who had barged into her world without any warning. It was undeniable. Bai Qianyu had fallen in love with Chu Hen. He was not the most outstanding, but he was the most special. She joked that he owed her a debt. But in reality, the one who suffered the most was her, the creditor. She was Bai Di's daughter, the heir of the holy-eyed Saint tribe. She was born noble, but in the end, she lost to the man who owed her a debt. Her heart was torn apart, and she found it difficult to breathe. The cool water quietly submerged Bai Qianyu's delicate features. She gradually sank, bringing along her thoughts that were almost torn to shreds. Suddenly, right at this moment, a strange spatial fluctuation rippled out from the depths of the pool. Bai Qianyu's eyes suddenly opened, and her originally pure eyes glowed with a sacred light. Accompanied by the distorted spatial rhythm, Bai Qianyu's sacred eyes shone brightly. At the same time, the 8 black dots hidden in the depths of her pupils spun rapidly.